I know some of y'all got up today and was like, what? A debate show? It's going to be a debate show? And you're saying to yourself, what could this be about? Well, if you was in the Discord, you will understand. A lot goes down in the Discord. We have all types of fun, but why am I bringing this up? And yet you still see a national suicide prevention lifeline. It's because for me, a lifeline is exactly what it sounds like. It's an extension that gives you opportunity to proceed in this thing called life. And I know that there's somebody right now who needed this distraction. There's somebody right now who needed to just have a moment to laugh and joke and enjoy a show. And so if you're that person, I want you to know that whatever it is you're going through, that whatever it is that you're dealing with, you are not alone. You are not the first person to have the thoughts that you have had. You are not the first person to be in this battle. My goal is to make sure that you understand that you are not in this battle alone. Before you make a decision that people who love you have to live with, make one that you can live with. Reach out and get help. Contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255. Your story is not complete. Your life matters. People care. I definitely care. There is no reason why you can't beat this. And if you just don't feel comfortable enough, you just don't have the energy, you're not quite sure that you want to contact them, but you want to get help, then reach out here. Come to BetterHelp. You can get all type of help here. You can get counselors, whether it be you just talk to them via text message. Maybe you talk to them face-to-face. Maybe you talk to them on the phone. Whatever it is, you will be able to get that help and that assistance. You will be able to get the help that is necessary. And even if you're not at a place where you're thinking about taking your own life, you should still go and get help. I got a therapist. Talk to him quite often. And it helps because sometimes you just need someone to listen. And if that still is not enough, and you just don't feel comfortable, feel free for me to come in. I'll listen. All I need is a simple message of, we need to talk. And with that message, I will make myself available to you. So before you make a decision, make the one that's going to not only create a legacy, but let those who you care about know you need help. Now let's talk football. What's going on, Pride Nation? And I know you like, what the hell is popping? A debate? There's a debate? What the hell is William B that you're thinking, right? And if you know anything about this show, you know I got co-hosts. We have to have somebody to come in to keep my ass in check. Okay? I can be a little bit strange at times. I'm okay with that. Okay? But what you have to understand is this. I made a statement on a video yesterday with the Questionable Podcast. Shout out to the people. Shout out to the family over there. If you haven't checked them out, please go check that video. It was so much fun to do. But I had a conversation, and guess what happened? It drew some issue. It drew, well, at least an issue for my man William, who decided challenge accepted. Now, keep in mind, I did not challenge William. I did not challenge him, but he felt that I said something that he did not agree with. Now, let me make sure we get this clear. This right here is for fun and entertainment purposes. Please do not think we're about to go and slice each other's throat, although I am more than prepared to prove my point. And I'm pretty sure William is as well. William!
What's up, Luke? What's up?
William, everybody's like, who the hell is Craig Reynolds Truther? You got to explain that. You got to explain it to the people.
Yeah, so I post different content I make on Twitter. I find it's actually a really cool way to do analysis just because you can put a little blurb, hit them with a clip, and there is minimal editing. That's what I like it to be.
You say you want the road of least resistance to this thing of it's a lot of editing. It's one of the reasons why it's one of the reasons why I I haven't really had a lot of time to make the videos I want to make, but it is what it is. Let me do the quick shout outs and then we can get into this. You know what? I forgot. You know what? I'm doing it. First, we got my man James Willis in the building, Bob's Videos, D. Williams, Giovanni Lyons, the second, Chrome, Antonio Jenkins, 1991 Maxstad, Jason Smith. We got Kurt Steele in the building. What up, though, family? One Pride 40. We got my man Brandon Blockton. He says, Luke G, let's get it. We got Joseph Murdoch, and as people come in, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. I see you, my man Sheldon McCray is in the building. All right, people. Let me give y'all a quick background on this. All right. As I said, I did a video with the Questionable Podcast, and in that video, I made a statement that did not sit well with William. William felt that I misrepresented it. He felt that, he didn't like what I said. He didn't like what I said. Or I guess his perception of what I was alluding to, he did not like. So far, am I right, William? I'm not missing anything, right?
Yeah, so it all started with a Nick one of the guys, I believe Scotty Questions from the Questionable Podcast.
Yes.
Said one of his under-the-radar players from the Lions is Jamal Williams. And Luke, even though we can't see his face, I saw his picture there, turned to disgust. So...
I mean, not that disgust, but yeah, I had I had the emoji with the green face, just a little bit.
But yeah, so eventually the argument was that Luke's done with the split carries. And if you look at any successful franchise that runs the ball, such as the tandem with the Browns, with Nick Chubb, with Kareem Hunt, that you'll see their carries are very like it's one guy, then the next, not more of an equal playing ground. Yeah, that was about it. Correct me if I'm wrong. That characterization.
All right. So that brought us to this. Let's get ready to rumble. Yes, let's get it. This small clip is what set him off to challenge me. Yes, this is what set it. This is what got the whole thing going. I was minding my business, y'all. I was walking down the street. And he came up and he sucker punched me with this bull. I'm just playing. But that's what happened. Here's the clip that upset him.
And then, my main man, Jamal Williams. I think that he's not happy with the season he had last year. He's not. And so I just think there's something there.
Okay. All right, I'm going to rebuttal this. Is it safe? For me, I feel that the season that he had last year should be the season he have every year because the feature back should be DeAndre Swift, in my opinion. I am over this split carry trash. This doesn't happen in any other good backfield tandem at all. Every good tandem you look at, from the Kareem Hunts to the Chubbs, there's a clear number one. There's no mistaking about it. Even with the Bengals, had they just ran the ball, Joe Burrow would have been a Super Bowl winning quarterback, but they didn't. The Lions running backs rushing attempts are just too close. And I don't want to hear, it's because of injuries. The hell with that. They were just doing this even split for the whole season, and it was making me want to puke.
Sorry, I lost you guys for a minute there.
No, you're good.
Deuce kind of stated something about that too. I don't know if maybe, Swift was injured or wasn't playing through things, but it kind of we know what Jamal can do. Like if Jamal says he's injured, we know he's injured. He doesn't shy away from contact. But
Jamal Williams is a hot button issue for Luke. Yes,
because it's so dumb. It's so dumb. Why is he the starting running back? I don't care what the depth chart say. When the game came on, he was the starting running back, and I'm like, why? The team
it never made sense to me.
Now, that's what this whole thing is about. Now, somebody on the show agreed with me. William could have addressed him, but he didn't. He called Luke. as he should have, because Luke was the one leading the charge on this take, and I understand why he took it. So, with that being said, we're going to debate this. The first thing we're going to debate is well, I don't even got to say it. William, what is your first disagreement with what I said?
So the initial disagreement I had was the dichotomy you had with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb versus Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift, with how their carries are being split. That was the primary thing I messaged you over.
Okay. And the second thing you disagree with me on is what?
And the second thing I disagree with, which I think is the crux of the issue and why you have such a problem with the stat count, is how good is DeAndre Swift really?
Okay.
I think that's the crux of it all.
And do you have a third issue?
No, not to my knowledge. Unless you want to add.
So just to be clear, his issue is my Nick Chubb comparisons, and his issue is how good DeAndre Swift is. Let's start off with the Nick Chubb comparison that I used as an example. I'll give you the first shot. Proceed. The floor is yours.
All right. So I believe one of the misconceptions we may have right off the get-go is when you say carries, I hear touches, because there are very, very, very few, maybe only really Alvin Kamara and Aaron Jones as running backs that can run down the field on like a four verts concept. Most running backs get all their yardage, passing wise, 5 yards or less. So when I look at a running back's usage, I more look at their touches rather than carries. If you're looking in the run game and you're arguing, okay, you want more carries? Sure. But to me, when DeAndre Swift has 19 touches a game versus Jamal Williams, who has 12, already DeAndre Swift is getting 290 touches a year, which the moment you get over 300, there's almost a guaranteed progression. Health-wise, that's almost it holds true through a lot of the NFL history.
You done?
Yeah, for now.
Okay, all right. I was just making sure I'm making sure you get the full floor. All right. Here's the issue. When you look at running back rooms, right? Every football team, there's 32 of them. They have a running back room, right? For the Dallas Cowboys, they have Ezekiel Elliott and they have Tony Pollard, right? And in my opinion, Tony Pollard should probably be the starter at this point over Ezekiel Elliott, because Ezekiel Elliott is not living up to his end of the deal. However, Ezekiel Elliott is the de facto starter. And when you go through, you look at, say, the Colts, and you look at my man Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines, and you see that there's a clear-cut de facto starter there. And when you go down the list even further to just look at the other running backs, even Pittsburgh, Najee Harris is the de facto starter there. And so one of the things that has been bothering me when it comes to the Detroit Lions is they haven't been given this overwhelming amount of carries to DeAndre Swift. What they've done is they've capped it close to the brass, where it's between 11 and 14 carries, and then they turn it over to the next guy. And that's been the issue for me. When I look at running backs, the ones who are at the top of the list are the ones who are de facto the starter. They're the ones that when the game very first start, they're taking the very first snap. That's what a starter is in this league. And when you go through and you look at these rooms, you notice that their starters have a significant amount more carries and then they do their backups. And there's a reason for that. That reason is because they are using the better player to set the tone. And when I look at the Lions, we're not using the better player to set the tone. We're using the lesser player to set the tone in Jamal Williams. And for me, when I looked at this and I said, and I've been doing this all season where I show people that this shit is ticking me off. I was looking at it and I'm saying, look, why are we not featuring DeAndre Swift? Okay, he was a guy that you took in the second round. He's more explosive. He's a more do-all guy. He has it all, and we did not do that. What we did was we got a guy in free agency that we made some backdoor promises to, and we're trying to hold up to that end of the deal, and it's BS because this offense is more explosive than with DeAndre Swift is than it is with Jamal Williams, and that's why for me it's not even close. It's not even debatable. Or anything like that. When you look at Nick Chubb and you look at Kareem Hunt, and I use them as an example because they have different carry amounts, right? They have significantly different carry amounts. And I know for you want to look at total things like receptions and all this other stuff, but I'm not looking at receptions for this. Why? Because to me, receptions just further adds to my point, but I don't need them to make the point that I'm making. The purpose of the running back is to run the ball. And when you look at the Lions, they were attempting to try to run the ball, but they're doing it with a guy who I think is not he's not the feature back for this team. He's not. I like Jamal Williams, but he's not the feature back for this team. And the proof is evident. Okay. So when you go through and you look at this, and I can just go right here. 228 rushing attempts is what they gave Nick Chubb last season. And when we go over here to Kareem Hunt, he got 78. Now, the thing that you're going to notice is well, or at least I suspect that you're going to say is, well, Kareem Hunt was hurt. Well, he played in 8 games. He started 1. Notice the thing. He's played in 8 games. He started 1. Whereas Nick Chubb played in 14 games and started all 14. And so, as such, this still holds to my view that, yeah, you featured the guy who gives you the best chance of putting the best player out there that gives you problems. Whereas with the guys like Kareem Hunt, not saying he's no slouch, it's just saying that, look, he's not the feature guy for this team. And the evidence also supports that when you look at Jamal Williams, who was hurt, and DeAndre Swift, who was hurt, they still ended up with the similar amount of carries in the backfield. Right here, this is Jamal Williams, who played in 13 games and started 11. And he had 153 carries, right? And we're trying to run the ball. But here's a guy, DeAndre Swift, who played in 13 games, only started 4 and had 151 carries. Those carries shouldn't be that close. And no running back can get in rhythm with you splitting the carries like that. You have to have one guy who's going to always exceed the number of carries. And it shouldn't be this close. It's further proof when you look at people like this. So if you were to go through and look at the list, let's go down the list. There goes Jonathan Taylor at the top with 332 rushing attempts. I can literally go through about 4 or 5 pages of this before you see his backup, right? And the same goes for other people. When you go through and you look at Joe Mixon, his backup is nowhere near his rushing attempts, nor is Elvin Kamara's backup. None of these teams you're going to see their backups close. And to show you that, I'll just scroll on down real nice and slow so you can take a proper look for yourself to see that they're not close. They're just not. All right. And when we get to this this spectrum, look what happens when we get to the next page. There's Jamal Williams, and with 2 more carries, he's ahead of DeAndre Swift. This is disgusting to me, and I'm sick of it because the more explosive player is DeAndre Swift. Floor is yours. You there?
Yep. Sorry, repeat that last part again. The very last part. You got everything else.
What do you mean? But you there?
Yeah. Oh, I thought you passed it off with the question. My bad.
No.
Yeah, so I think the way it breaks down in my mind is how do the Lions want to run their team and how they want to run their offense. So when I look at this, I want to show you. Hold on, let me pull it up real quick. This very useful tool that I get the privilege of having. All right. So.
I'm sorry. Wait, hold on. Somebody needs to get attention. So I need to give them the proper attention that they need. I'm not gonna put their comment on the screen, but they asked the question of, I don't know how y'all listen to Luke shaking my head, horrible takes. The same way you're listening right now. But here, I'm gonna solve your problem for you by not only making sure that you don't have to comment in here, but I'm gonna make sure that not only that I can block you and you can continue to listen in the background without a voice. This is my show. And if you don't want to listen, don't come in here to comment about it. With that being said, my apologies, William. I just had to let people know that enough of the bullshit. If you don't like what I say, don't watch or don't listen. But you're going to listen because you have a tendency and a need to listen. Well, let me help you with your tendencies and your need to listen. You will be getting blocked, simply put. And you can just listen and go and create another fake account and try to comment. William, this is what happened when clowns show up to a circus I never asked for. But go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so here, hit that share button for me if you can.
Okay, give me 1 second. I gotta finish putting the touches on stupid people who just have a need and an inert need to just want to be important. Literally just created a account May 1st of this year. But I know what this is, right? I know what this is.
While you get that done, so my main thing is how we want to structure our offense and how we want to attack going forward. So my main thing is
you gotta make that bigger, Will. My bad. You gotta make that a little bit bigger.
All right.
So like zoom it up if you have to, or all right.
Let me pull back a little bit.
Is that Pro Football Focus? Oh shit!
Yep.
Here we go. Let's go.
Yeah. So Pro Football Focus. This is the one used by a lot of NFL teams and collegiate D1 teams. This is not like regular Pro Football Focus for regular people. Even if you have the premium account, does not nearly get in as depth as this one. So all I'm looking at are the different type of outside zone scheme, the inside zone team schemes, basically the different type of run schemes we have done throughout the year and how many times we have attempted them. So our main concept was outside zone run schemes. So that can include pitches to the outside, that can include any horizontal moving outside run play. And as we can see here on the additional thing I have pulled up, I'll use the marker. Here are the outside zone numbers for both of our backs. Our most run play, 99 times, Swift averaged, including big plays, which is 15 plus yards, 2.76 yards a carry, while Jamal Williams averaged 6.9. Now, our second highest is inside zone. And as you can see, the one right above it, Jamal Williams actually has a lower carry. But if you look at it without big plays, and mind you, most of Swift's yards came off of two big runs on, let me double check the amount. On 43 carries, 2 runs accounted for about 40% of his yardage. And you can't take that away, otherwise Barry Sanders would be in the business of running back. But it is to show, in my mind, who is the most consistent back. And if you're running inside zone 85 times, I much rather go with the yards without the big plays, especially when together both of them only had 2 big plays in inside zone over a combined 93 snaps. So if you are Dan Campbell, who wants a consistent offense, who stays on track, who keeps the ball moving, I can understand why he likes Jamal Williams better. And running the ball, especially in between the tackles. On outside zone, why Swift's number is so bad, in my mind, is his lack of fluidity in hips and how he does the run. So he kind of hovers in between. Either you hold height. So what I mean by that, if you start at 5 yards and you're running outside zone, hold 5 yards until you make your decision and cut. Or you press the line, get as close to the offensive line as possible. That way you force the defense to make decisions. So you can do either one of those things. Swift did a weird thing in the middle where he tried to be patient while getting close to the line, and it didn't work. So I can understand why they did not want him on plays as much, especially when another one, I don't know, it'd be my man, that's most likely Duo, which I didn't track Duo runs on this one, but counter, 62 attempts, Swift and Jamal Williams, both were the same, except if you take Swift's big plays out, Jamal Williams averaged 0.5 yards more. So I can understand from Dan Campbell's mind, I want a consistent back who gets me yardage time and time again. He's not going to rip off big plays, but he's going to keep me on schedule. 100% understand his argument. Now, I think that the crux of the issue is, how do we view DeAndre Swift here? How are we going to look at DeAndre Swift? And before I answer my side of that, Luke, I want to get your opinion on how good of a running back you think DeAndre Swift is, as well as his type of role you see him in. So is he a third down back? Is he a future ball cow?
Bell cow. I know what you were saying. Go ahead. I was like, look, we're going to work through this.
My mind started fluttering there. But yeah, so.
But before I answer that question, let me rebuttal what you just said. So even in your chart, right? Your chart, you talked about if we take out. See, this is the problem with people when they come in and they want to have an argument. When you're arguing, you got to argue what is in front of you. And what is in front of you was exactly what you showed. So the idea of taking out and saying that, oh, if you take this out, then you got more consistency from Jamal Williams. Yeah, but if my height was 7 feet more, was 7 feet tall versus me being at 5'10", then I might be in the NBA. And so what we have to do is this: we have to use the information that we have. You even said earlier that, I don't really want to take anything out, because at that point you're basically making Barry Sanders a de facto player. And that's exactly what Barry Sanders was. Nobody averaged more negative yards than Barry Sanders, right? That's the word on the streets. But the reality is, if you listen to what my original statement was, I need the best the player to be the de facto starter, aka the guy who is going to have the most impact. It is DeAndre Swift, because he can break those big runs. You're not getting that from Jamal Williams. You're going to get that more consistently from DeAndre Swift. And when you look at those parts of his game, you have to understand that as much as we would like to remove things, the reality is we are more explosive with DeAndre Swift, because DeAndre Swift provides something that Jamal Williams can't. And Jamal Williams can't consistently break big runs. I went to the game against the 49ers, and I watched Jamal Williams have a pretty okay day. It got real interesting when DeAndre Swift got the ball. I watched the game against the Browns, where Jamal Williams, kind of struggled, but Swift found a way to make something. I mean, the Bengals. But Swift broke the run that gave us a chance. And when you look at those two, I understand the idea of consistency, But that's the problem with this fan base, in my opinion, and that's the problem with the idea of Jamal Williams. For me, if all you're looking for is consistency, then you're telling me Jamal Williams is nothing more than Kevin Smith. I don't want Kevin Smith. I want the guy who makes you account for what the possibilities are at that spot. And when you look at people like Ezekiel Elliott, even though I think Tony Pollard has been playing better than him, they still use Ezekiel Elliott because people know what Ezekiel Elliott is. They know what he's about. The same way it works for Christian McCaffrey. When you know what the player is and what they are about, you have to account for them differently. When we bring in Jamal Williams, nobody's worried about him really breaking a long run. He will be caught. And the reality is, even in your own numbers, you said it yourself best. I don't want to take anything out because that discredits a Hall of Fame running back that we had. But then you turned around and said, if we take out the numbers for Swift, but what about when they're not taken out?
Luke, I already addressed that.
Right, but I'm asking the question. What about when they're not taken out, though?
When they're not taken out, yeah, one big play that got him 53 yards.
Mm-hmm.
That brought his average up to 3.88.
Yep, and so he's just he's no different than Barry Sanders.
On 43 carries, Barry Sanders wouldn't have gotten only two.
No. When I say he's no different than Barry Sanders, I'm referring to the idea that you're not going to consistently get through 2 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards. Like no, I'm talking about you have the opportunity to break a play wide open. Does Jamal Williams have that ability to break a play wide open? Like if Jamal Williams broke a run, say inside our own 10, you think he getting all the way to the house?
No, but that response makes me feel like you weren't listening. My argument was when I see these numbers without the big plays, I understand why Dan Campbell would put him in, because Dan Campbell wanting to be a consistent chain mover, contain the ball, control the ball, while also being able to take downfield shots. I think that makes sense why he would put Jamal Williams in as much as he did. That also doesn't take into account how many games did Jamal Williams play where Swift wasn't in. He played like 4. So even though Jamal Williams has more, he played 4 games? I don't count DeAndre. Jamal Williams played games where DeAndre Swift was hurt, which added to his first snap, the first snap of the game, which you're counting as a start, and which added to his total amount of carries. DeAndre Swift wasn't there to take away those carries either. So,
I disagree with that. I think when you look at it from the week one on out, I think that's not true. I think from week 1 on out, the starter has always been Jamal Williams, and even when he came back from injury, he started again, and that was after Swift had lit the goddamn world up with against the Steelers, and so he's always been the starter this whole season. So yeah, we can try to play he had these 4 more games where that's why he got no. He literally was the starter, literally. Which is one of the reasons why DeAndre Swift is frustrated, because he was the one drafted.
I want to. First off, I don't care who gets drafted. You're on the team. Whoever's on the team, whoever does the best gets the ball. So to me, I don't view starter as who started the first play of the game, right? Whoever started the first play of the game on paper is the starter, but in actuality is not. So when you look at the snap count for DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams this past year, DeAndre Swift, his snap count percentage per game, so the amount of snaps he was in, was 68%. Jamal Williams was at 38%. So DeAndre Swift was in almost double the amount of snaps. I actually pulled up the specific number. DeAndre Swift had 243 more snaps on offense than Jamal Williams did. Now, if I'm almost doubling your snap count, aren't you the de facto starter?
Nope.
I don't care if I'm not in the first play of the game. I'm getting twice your snaps.
Nope. And I'll explain to you why. The reason you see the snap count numbers being so slanted the wrong way because it supports my view of what it is, and this also leads into your question about how good is DeAndre Swift. So let's dive into that part of it. Okay. Let's go through and look at some things. Let's look
Before we go into that, how do you contend with a 243 different?
Well, I'm gonna show you
snaps?
how. I'm gonna show you how.
I want that like.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna show you how. Just bear with me. I'm gonna get you there. Bear with me. I just asked a simple question. What is a starter in the NFL? That's all I ask. You know, we're gonna go to Google, right? This is what we use as a Bible in most cases. And I found multiple sources that had the same thing. The player in the starting lineup are commonly referred to as starters. I want to keep that part simple. Now let's jump to it. How do you explain them having that gap? Well, when we go through and we look at the games of Jamal Williams, right? Let's look at
go back. Wait, go back. You didn't read the whole thing.
What?
Look, the starters are commonly the best players on the team at their respective positions.
Okay. Consequently, there is often a bit of prestige that is associated with being a starter, and DeAndre Swift is a better running back than Jamal Williams. So again, I didn't think
he's a starter.
I didn't think, but he's not the starter, and this is the reality of it. It's the person is referred to as the starter, whereas often the substitute comes off the bench. He was coming off the bench. What happened was Jamal Williams, who you said yourself was consistent. Now keep in mind, I have told you that consistently they have stayed between 11 to 14 carries. That man didn't get over 19 carries until week 15. That has been the consistent thing that they have done, which I think is stupid. I think it's dumb that they're doing this, but that's not the point. The reason why you're seeing this is because when you look at these games, even in the game where he had 19 carries, 77 yards, a game where he had 17 carries, 71 yards, you go and compare that to DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift have 100-yard rushing games because he's more explosive. And so when you talk about this thing of what changed in those snap counts, there were games where he was not getting it done.
Wait, but
you couldn't leave him in. You couldn't leave him in. You couldn't leave him in on crucial downs. And when you did, you left him in to be a blocker. I understand.
Okay.
I understand
So
you want to leave him
me,
in. Wait a minute.
I
understand that you want to leave him in to be a blocker. I get that. But what DeAndre Swift was doing was stealing snaps because there were games where there were games with Jamal Williams, he just wasn't getting going. And so when he wasn't getting going, what ended up happening was DeAndre Swift was. I pointed out a few of those games to you when I talked about the games against like the Bengals, where they was given opportunity to the running backs trying to generate stuff. In other games where they just wasn't getting anything popping. But even right here in this game right here, after he popped off on the Pittsburgh Steelers, Jamal Williams came back. I believe that's week 10. Jamal Williams came back. Where he at? And was still named a starter. And they gave him 7 carries because he could not come back and do his job. And so what they did was against Cleveland, they flipped it, and they was like, man, we're just going to get the ball to Swift, which is why you see Swift with the 14 carries for 136. Again,
I want to jump in real quick on this.
Go ahead.
So, out of all the games you picked, out of all the ones with those rushing totals, you picked the one game he had 14 carries, 136 yards. What about the Philadelphia game, the Chargers, the Cincy, the Minnesota, the Baltimore, the San Francisco, where he had just about the same amount of carries and only broke 50 yards once outside of those?
Well, let's go and look at that. That still alludes to what I'm trying to point to. This is the same thing that happened with Barry. It happens with good running backs. They're not always going to be consistent in that regard, but they are still the more explosive player. So right here, you see right here, they're a little. Wait a minute.
in
Wait
like
a
7
minute,
games.
William. Wait a minute.
Wait,
Now I let you interject the first time, but now you just interjecting to interject. I'm trying to answer the question.
I'm not interjecting to interject.
Okay, all right. So let me answer your question. Even right here, we got little stars that indicate who the starter of that game was. So when I point out these games, you will notice that he is not a starter in this game against Cleveland. Mm-hmm. And your question was, how do you account for the 200 more snaps? Because he were taking them, because the other guy wasn't getting them done. When you flip that and you go over here, who's the starter in these games? Look at this. Here's the starter in the game against Green Bay. He's the starter. He's always been the starter. And when he's the starter, and you don't even break 100 yards, you don't even break 80 yards as the starter, how are you getting in when I got a guy who comes in even in relief and is taking snaps from you and performing better than you are? And this also leads to the point that you have to give people in rhythm. He was in rhythm after this game. How does he then come back the next game and not be the starter, but yet still outperforms the guy who they put back in Jamal Williams right here as the starter? That's how he got more snaps than him. Go ahead, rebuttal.
All right, so again, if you look at the Cleveland snap count of Jamal Williams versus DeAndre Swift, you can see right now you got 13 snaps for Jamal Williams. And if you go back to the other one.
Wait, hold on, wait. I got to put your screen back up. My bad.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead. There you go.
Yeah, so you get the 13 snaps here for the Cleveland game. But then I believe I saw on your screen with DeAndre Swift, you had about 20 or 35 snaps. Now, this is why I say I don't care about who starts a game, who gets the first snap. It doesn't matter to me, because 13 snaps versus 35 snaps. Obviously, he was in 73% of the game. So clearly, he was the starter.
He was not the starter.
He was not the starter. I don't care.
What he did was the starter was Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams was not getting it done, and Swift was still hot from what he did to Pittsburgh. And so at that point, they went on and kept giving him the ball. We got to tell the story and its truth. We can't say that just because the snap counts is different. The starter had a chance to get those snaps. He didn't do the job. Swift was hot. They rolled the hot hand. We got to tell the truth. It's the reason why Tom Brady stayed in the game even when Drew Bledsoe came back. The came back from injury. They didn't care that he came back. Tom did his job and they left him in. And this happens all the time in the NFL. Only the Lions will say, you know what? I know that guy ran the ball for 33 times for 100 and some yards, but you know what? Next week I'm going to start this guy.
Okay, so I'm pulling this up to dispel they put Jamal Williams in and he wasn't getting it done, so then they put in Swift. That just wasn't what happened.
That's exactly what
happened.
Here
they had the first 3 plays, Jamal Williams 3 yards, -1. So in the first 3 plays, he had 5 yards total. Swift came in and got 1 yard. The next round of plays came in. Depending got a rush up the middle for 21 yards.
Can I interject for a moment? Can you read that? Can you read that thing again one more time? What you just said? You said from the very first offensive play, what happened?
Tim Boyle threw the ball on the first offensive play.
Okay.
And then the next 3 after that, because that was a offsides penalty, Jamal Williams was in and ran the ball 3 times.
Okay, so just to be clear, the first person to run the ball was Jamal Williams in that Cleveland game.
But your assertion just now was Jamal Williams was the starting back. He wasn't getting it done.
You just proved that right there.
Wait. No. Stop cutting me off. You said he was the starting back, and when he was not getting it done, Then they put in DeAndre Swift, and then he stole back his carries, which is incorrect.
Okay, keep going.
Because Jamal Williams,
it's definitely correct. He started the game. He got 3 carries back to back.
Don't interject when you tell me not to interject. So the first 2, he got a first down on his first 2 carries, had a TFL. Then they put Swift back in, and then for the next, a lot of run plays, it's all DeAndre Swift. So it's not that they had him in for, like, they didn't put Jamal Williams in, and then, man, he stuttered those 7 carries, and then they put in Swift, and oh my God, Swift saved us. No, Swift broke one big play, but then was average the rest of that game. And you can't take away that big play. You can't. And my thing is, I don't care who gets that first snap. Because clearly, from that point on, mind you, it's 1st and 5. They're trying to move the chains to get a first down. That's what Jamal Williams is built for. That is his bread and butter. And then you bring in DeAndre Swift later on, where DeAndre Swift, in my opinion, is a fantastic receiving back. He's fantastic. He's beautiful on draws. He averaged like over 7.5 yards a carry on draws, which is ridiculous. And mind you, a lot of those draws, maybe 2 out of the 14 were on 3rd down. So he was consistently helping us move the chains in that regard. And then you look at his receiving ability, fantastic. I don't think DeAndre Swift's role in our offense has to be he comes in on 1st down and he gets us a few yards. No, he's way better in passing situations where he can abuse those lighter boxes, where he can have the ability to play in space.
Yeah, but here's a problem, William. Here's a problem with what you just did. I want you to go. When did DeAndre Swift have the big run? When was that? Can you show that, please? Because you got it up. I'm gonna use your screen. I'm gonna use your evidence against you. You know how I don't know if you've ever been arrested, William, but I have. And usually when you get arrested, they say to you, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. And so I'm going to use what you said against you in this regard. So when did Swift have the big run? I want to know the quarter and the down in the distance. I'm gonna let you use your screen for it. Because I already can prove that the guy who got the first touches in the starter was Jamal Williams, which lets me know that they did this after Swift had a big game against the Steelers.
And by big game, you mean it was raining. He was the only back that trusted on the roster.
By big game, I mean he ran the ball a total of 33 times and got 100-something yards, something that this running back has not done.
In the rain, with him being the only functioning running back.
Rain, sleet, or snow, the mailman still delivers the damn mail. And it's a reason why they go by that motto. And I'm going by the same motto. When you look at the player, I don't care if it rains, sleet, or snow, no one cares. This is what football is. You play in bad weather. That's not an excuse. The bottom line is this. No, he had a big game.
What I meant by that.
He had a big game. And in that big game, he came back the next game and was benched. So when he bounced and go somewhere else and do like every other Lion do and succeed, then y'all can all start to come up with the excuses. Oh, well, he's over there. It would be wrong again. The same way y'all did with everybody else, Quandre Diggs, Matthew Stafford, and the list goes on and on and on and on. But that's another point. But go ahead. Show me where he had the big run.
I'm trying to find it. For some reason, I can't find it on here.
Well, take your time. I ain't in no hurry. We here for a purpose. You disagree with something that I said, even though your evidence is even supporting of it, which is that Jamal Williams was the de facto starter. So, when did he have the big run?
Look at this. That would be it was a 57-yard carry towards the end of the third quarter.
Okay. And the score at the time was, what was the down and distance on that play?
3rd and 8.
So on the 3rd and 8, he broke for 57 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And in that game, he rushed for 136, correct? So that means he had a total of 79 yards on the other 13 carries, right? And if you took 79 and divided by the 13, that means he still was averaging 6 yards a carry at that point.
Wait, how many yards did you say he had?
He had 136.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you take 57 from 136. That leaves you with 79. You take, and that means and he did that on 14 carries. So we took out the 1 carry and the 157-yard play, and then left us with 13 carries with 79 yards. Right? Mm-hmm. And this is what happened. So we know that he still averaged 6 yards a play, right? And we know this because you can do it through simple math. Now, the question becomes, if he didn't start the game and they were attempting to, again, feature a guy who should not be featured in Jamal Williams.
But they weren't.
But they were. He started. He started the game.
He played 3 snaps and then was out for like 7 or like 7 the next 7 rushing attempts.
No.
I don't care if you're in for the first 3 snaps.
No.
I think that
what you're not listening to is this, William. William, you got to listen to William.
Stop.
William, no. I was the one talking and you interjected. So let me finish.
Stop. No.
They put him in. They put him in at the very moment. After this, Jamal Williams was named the starter and started that game after DeAndre Swift ran the ball for 33 times, 130 yards versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they still named him the starter because he was always the starter.
Question
the reason
right
I'm bringing this
up
to you.
Right now.
No, wait a minute.
I need to refute that Steelers point. Wait, stop, Luke. I need to refute that.
Why do I got to stop in the middle of my point when you are the one who's asking the question?
What? I'm not asking a question.
You made the statement. And
you asked me to look.
Go ahead, William. Go ahead.
You asked me.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Hey, stop.
Go ahead.
You asked me to look for a play. I showed it to you, and then you was asking me why I'm pausing you for asking a question. I didn't.
No.
So I'm going.
What I'm saying is this.
I'm now going to present the counter argument to why I have an issue with how you're presenting the Steelers game. True or false?
Listen, William. Here's the thing. William, here's the thing. I hate to do this, William, but I gotta mute you for a second so you can hear me. William, the reason that I am doing this is so I want you to understand what's going on. The reason I'm doing this, I want you to understand something. The only reason that I even asked you to go and look up that play was because in that time, I was answering your question to how is it possible for him to have more snaps. And so when I was answering the question to him having more snaps, I showed you by saying, look, here's a game where they named him the de facto starter, but he took them snaps because he was able to do something that our guy wasn't doing, which is average 6 yards a carry. I wanted to show you that. I mean, the reason I wanted to show you that was because I needed you to do it. Now, then you interjected in to try to say, well, it was a rainy game. And it's like, no, it wasn't a rainy game. Who cares? It's football. It's not like they out there playing freaking cricket. This is football. So now I'll give you the floor to rebuttal it.
Okay, true or false? When it is raining, teams run more.
Not necessarily, but
that is almost a universal truth.
That is not almost a universal truth. The key word is almost too, though. So, but go ahead.
When there are adverse conditions that make it harder to catch the ball, teams run the ball more. And who was the only running back we really had on the roster at that moment in time?
He wasn't, though. He wasn't the only running back we had.
Wait. I'm getting frustrated with this because you're telling me not to interject and then you're just adding in little clips here and there. Please stop it.
Go ahead.
So when I'm saying he was the only running back at that point we trusted, when Jamal Williams was hurt and it's raining, no shit, we're going to give him 33 carries. And you know what happened? That was the day he had the most broken tackles. You want to know why? It was slippery. People couldn't get a hold of him. And coincidentally, he had one of his best games on that day. I'm not saying it's only because of the rain, but there are extenuating factors that lead to someone getting that many carries. That isn't now when you're looking at that game and all the different points in it, it doesn't translate to, okay, he did this once, he should do it the entire rest of the season. Because you want to know how many 33 snaps in the season is over 500 carries, and no human being has ever done that as a running back. And, so I don't, for his sake, I do not want to see him get his body destroyed by having more than 20 touches a game when he's a third down back. He's a juiced up theoretic. And I'm all right with that. He's a great in that role. He's 1,000+ yard, all-purpose yard person. But to say he should be running between the tackles, he shouldn't. Because in that 153-yard, what was that? What was it? 57-yard run in the Browns game? Run where it came from? He bounced it outside and got into space, which is exactly what a third down back does. So, that's my thing here, is that you're trying to sit here and, you're trying to say, oh, well, the Steelers game justifies why he should have started this game. No, he's a third down back. He's in for second and third downs, on passing downs, and he's exceptional at it. He doesn't need to be in the first play of the game to be a featured running back. That's just not how that works. Sean Tyler at Western Michigan is our best back. He rushed for over 150 yards 4 times last season. But Ladarius Jefferson was in the first play. Want to know why? Because he's a big-ass person, and we want to wear down the defense. So when a small guy comes in, he just gets to run around everybody, even though he's the de facto starter. There's things that go into this game planning-wise as a coach. Jamal Williams being on there with the first play, I don't give a shit about that. Because there's reasons for that to do that as a coach. So now, I think we can get to the crux of this, and where you are getting the most, why you have this feeling is.
Wait a minute. No. I get to rebuttal that. You don't get to just switch the topic. I get to rebuttal that. We'll get to your topic. I'm not going to let you miss your topic, but I get to rebuttal that. Let's go back to some of this inert BS that's going on. It's one thing to have a personal view and not like a player. I get it, right? It's a personal view, but we have things that can measure the view of it. So the idea is, of course he's got 33 carries because there was no other running back to carry the ball, but yet they tried to use 2 other running backs to carry the ball. And out of the other 2, one of them had a pretty decent long run of 42 yards and then had a touchdown, and you went, okay, great. Because it was slippery, though, and it was raining, and it was snowing, and it was windy, and the excuses is killing me softly. I mean, if I could play the violin, I would, but the reality is this. We talk about this game right here, and why is this game important? I don't want to negate the fact of what they did, but, we talk about his longest run being 21 yards, and yeah, he got 31 carries, and no human being can carry the ball 33 times. Well, how about we let him carry the ball 20 to 25 times? I mean, Najee Harris carried the ball 26 times. And let's just go and take a look at this, just out of curiosity.
Najee Harris
now you're going to interject. Now you're going to interject. I got it. Go ahead.
Because I need to. Because
Go ahead, saying, right? Because you was getting annoyed. You was getting annoyed when I interject, and I only interject because you keep doing this. And for that purposes, I'm going to have you stop and let me finish my point.
Wait.
So now we get back to I'm going to have to let you stop and put. I'm going to have to let you stop. I hate to do this to you, William, but I have to mute you again. Now here we are. First, you come up with all these excuses about weather, because weather is now the problem when it comes to this game. It's a weather issue. Oh, it's so slippery. It's weather. And my point that you're missing, William, because I know you just do not like this, and you want to prove this point. I get it, but you're not doing a good job of it. So let me help you a little bit. The reason that I even brought up this Pittsburgh game was to show you the simple fact of, here's a guy who had just went off in a game. Regardless if it was raining, sleet, or snow. No one gives a shit about the weather because we know in football you play in shitty weather. All right. In the very next game, he was not the starter. This answers the question of two things. One, why does he have more snaps? Because he's a better running back. Two, he's not the starter because he has more snaps. He's the starter when he starts the game. Three, this also answers the question of why I brought that game up in the first place. Here's a guy who, if you just look right here at his rushing attempts, has never, outside of that one game, cracked 20 rushing attempts. Never. And it's not just him. This is a Lions issue. It happens with Jamal Williams as well. And that's my problem. Why are we not getting our running backs 20 to 25 carries? I'm not asking for him to get 30, 35 carries a game every single time. I'm asking for him to get what the average running backs are getting, are between 20 and 25 carries. But our running backs seem to average between 11 and 14, which is freaking stupid. I don't want that. I need for them to get the ball in their hands so they can establish a legitimate rushing attack. They do not do that, and that is a problem for me. I also brought this whole point up in the first place because you keep trying to switch the topic, but I also brought this up in the first place, that how does a guy go off in this game? He goes off in this particular game right here and then come back and get benched and then have to then still prove again that he deserves to be the best running back. And then after he did it for the second time, they finally named him starter against Chicago, and he got hurt. And he started out because at this point, now Chicago realized what's going on. They was up on him, but he got 3 carries and got hurt. Now, at that point, after he got hurt in that Bears game, we go back and we look over here. Where my guy at right here? Where he at? Where he at right here? Right here. Now, he gets 15 carries. And again, in 15 carries, doesn't even break 100 yards. He's not as explosive as the other guy. The idea that DeAndre Swift is the third down back is just simple. So, to moving forward to your original question is, how good do I think DeAndre Swift is?
No, wait. I got to rebuttal that. I want to rebuttal that.
Rebuttal?
Okay, if you're going to say, well, look at what he did in Chicago, 15 yards, 65, or 15 attempts, 65 yards, man, he's not as explosive as the other guy. Please click back DeAndre Swift. Please.
Go. You want me to go where? Where you want me to go to?
Click on DeAndre Swift for me. So in mind you, Jamal Williams in 15 carries at 65 yards. Would you look at that? San Francisco, 11 for 39, worst yards per average. Baltimore, 14 for 47, worst yards per average. Minnesota, 11 for 51, actually better average. Cincy, the Rams, and Philadelphia, all worse averages. But you want to tell me that, oh, well, he's not as explosive because of this one game where he went 15 for 65. Can I say that the same thing about Swift in that case? Like, Swift had the exact same thing.
Oh, so I can answer that question?
Yeah, go.
No, you can't say that because guess what? He started 11 games. He has 153 touches to compare to the 151 touches that DeAndre Swift has. So when I talk about explosiveness, I'm talking about the whole season, not a few select games. I used that select game to show you that he was the starter and to show you that by proof that, look, even after the guy had a good game, they still named him the starter. So we could talk about the averages and move the goalposts and all that stuff. That's cool. But in 153 touches, okay, 153. This man did not do as much as the guy who had 151. And the only thing holding the guy back at 151 touches was the fact that he wasn't a goddamn starter. You can't get in rhythm when they try to use you like Theo Reddick. You can't. There's no way of getting around it. There is no way of getting around him getting in rhythm when you're being used like Theo Reddick. And he's more than that. He's more than a third down back. He's more than Theo Reddick, and he should be the feature de facto starter. I should not have to look up and see him only starting when the other guy gets hurt. And that's the problem for me. Now, you can ask me the other question so we can switch to the next topic. To the next one. We can't keep rebuttaling the same topic. Get to your question so we can get to the next topic.
This will be the last thing on this topic from both of us. So,
good grief.
My thing with how you're arguing this is that you're showing Jamal Williams carries 153. DeAndre Swift's carries 151. You want to look at the receptions column where DeAndre Swift also got
who's talking about receptions? This is the problem. Nobody is talking about receptions. Nobody is talking about receptions. Okay. Nobody, anybody in the chat, did you ever hear me say the word receptions? I've never, even in the video, Even in the original video, that I never said reception. You know why I didn't say receptions? Because they're using him like theoretic, and that is the problem. Now go to your question so we can get to the next part of it.
Brought up Christian McCaffrey. What is the Christian
Hold on,
McCaffrey?
I did not. Oh my God, I brought up Christian McCaffrey. Oh my, listen.
No.
I hate to do this because I hate when people don't want to just understand the most basic parts of a debate. You don't get to come in and say certain things and try to go back and use information without putting the context on it. The reality is this. He wanted to rebuttal what I said, and then he wanted to use Christian McCaffrey and talk about catches. We're not talking receptions. I've been the whole time, not even just yesterday when I was on the thing with Questionable Podcast, even today, I talked about the rushing attack. I've not talked about the receiver. I even said in my last statement that at that point that they're treating him like he's theoretic and he's beyond better than theoretic. I'm not talking receptions. Receptions don't mean nothing to me right now in the scheme of us running the ball. We got receivers to catch the damn ball. But it also lends itself to when you start to add in receptions, it's because it supports my view further in the idea that, look, he offers so much more than you get from Jamal Williams. So the entire time I've been talking running it. I don't know why you want to bring up receptions. All I'm saying to you is it's better than you to rebuttal and try to say, well, you brought up Christian McCaffrey, even though I brought it up in the context of who his running mate was and running the ball. You never heard me at any point in time, not in this part of it or in the video yesterday or at any time during the season, talk about receptions. I never talked about that. I talked about running the ball. That's the
question.
Yes.
So you want the best player on the field, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so John, is 1,400 yards good?
Yes.
Okay, 1,400 yards is good. Is 1,400 rushing good?
Isn't 1,400 rushing yards you asked me about the difference between the 14? Yeah, that's good. That's a good rushing attack. Yeah.
Is 1,400 rushing yards receiving good for a single player? It's all single player.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, so my thing, if Swift had stayed healthy on his trajectory, he would have had 1,397 all-purpose yards. I do not care if he is getting that many rushing attempts because he's putting on the field 1,400 yards. There are not many people in the league that are putting up 1,400 all-purpose yards. That's why I don't care about the rushing total.
Did Swift put up 1,400 rushing yards?
No, he would have put up 1,400.
So why are we talking about it? Talk about what happened. I don't want to hear about shoulda, woulda, coulda, and ifs and fifths. Tell me what really happened. Did he put up 1,400?
No, he put up almost 1,100 all-purpose yards.
But
which is the most on any of our offensive players.
But William, you don't realize how many all-purpose yards did Jamal Williams put up? Not
nearly as that many. But was he on the field?
So William, debate over. Debate over. Game, set, and match.
Wait, no,
you just proved my point. You get more with Swift than you do with Jamal Williams. What are you upset about to disagree with me on?
I'm not.
You just said
you just
said that Jamal Williams does not have the same amount of all-purpose yards as Swift. And my whole argument is put in the guy who gives you the most, the best player. They're not doing that, and that's my problem. They're not starting him. They're not putting him in. He's having to take his numbers. And now you come and say that Jamal Williams all-purpose. I'm curious, though, William, out of curiosity, what is Jamal Williams all-purpose yards?
Let's see. He had 760 while having 243 less snaps than DeAndre Swift.
And how many all-purpose yards did DeAndre Swift have?
DeAndre Swift had 1,100 while having 243 more than Jamal Williams.
Okay. And so it's safe to say it's safe to he had to take it. That's the problem. He had to take it. They was not giving it to him. He had
to take it. They put him on the field almost twice as much.
Because he was taking it. The other guy wasn't getting it done, even though he was the starter. That's the point. He was not getting her done.
No.
Now, can we go into your question if you want to know about how good is DeAndre Swift? Go into your question.
Okay, so the crux of this debate, why you believe that DeAndre Swift, or why this is the issue, is that you believe DeAndre Swift, and correct me if I'm wrong, is by and far the best running back we have on our roster. Is that correct or not?
That is correct.
All right. So I will. Lions Rumble got me. I am pining for water. I'm gonna be right back as I grab some before I follow that through much more. Yeah. Give me a sec. Yeah, give me a sec. Dr.
People, to those who are here, thank you so much for being here. Let me try to get through some of the comments. Steve-O says, what's the difference between a handoff and a 1 yard pass, Luke? Not that much, in my opinion, except it gives the running back a little bit more space after he gets the ball. The reason I left receptions out, Steve-O, was so it can be a debate focused on what I've always talked about when it comes to them splitting the carries. I never said that, they're splitting the carries in terms of reception. I said that when it comes to them splitting carries, not touches, carries, which means that they're running the ball. Yeah, I don't want to do that because I already know that once you throw in the passing yards on top of it, it really supports my point. I wanted to have a good, fair conversation that focuses on their rushing attack. And in my opinion, the idea that they're going to treat him like he's theoretic disgusts me because to me, I don't want that. I don't want the guy that is going to just be used on passing downs and stuff. That's trash. When you do that, it makes your offense predictable. The same way it did with Theoretic. When Theoretic came in, everybody knew we were passing the ball. There was no way we were going to run Theoretic. And the few times he got a big run is because they really just knew we were throwing the ball. So it lends itself to it. But when you put in like say, for example, if you go back and you look at some of the best running backs, like LaDainian Tomlinson, you look at LaDainian Tomlinson, you don't know what you're getting with that. He can be passed, whatever, But I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of just the carries. When I look at them running the ball, I'm over the idea of this even kill split in rushing carries. That's garbage to me. You back? Did you hydrate up?
Yes, sir.
Don't choke on no water. I can't help you. I can't CPR you virtually. Okay. All right.
Appreciate it for Lions Rumble for keeping my voice in check there.
All right, but go ahead.
Keep me good and hydrated. But yeah, so the crux of the disagreement and why you're having this issue with who's starting the game and all that is you believe he's by and far the better back. Where in the but how would you rank either in a tier list or just general like top blank? Where would you rank DeAndre Swift amongst the league's running backs?
I don't do it in tiers. I mean,
however you want to do it.
I mean, I can't rank him. And the reason I can't rank him because he's not given opportunity. He's been in the league 2 years. And in 2 years, he's been treated like a goddamn afterthought. So how can I rank somebody who's been treated as an afterthought in 2 years?
But because he has 151 carries, it's. I'm not saying what the Lions' opinions are of him. I'm saying what your opinions are.
That is my opinion. My opinion is you asked me, how do I rank him? And I said, I can't rank him amongst the league because he hasn't been given the fair shot to be ranked in amongst the league. He's been an afterthought.
So, in your opinion, how are you dictating he hasn't gotten a fair shot? Like, are you using a metric or is that just more like a gut feeling?
No, it's what my own two eyes see. It's what my own two eyes see, and then the fact that the stats support it. When you go through, if you took his 2 seasons, DeAndre Swift's two seasons that he's been, this is his 3rd year, right? Yeah. So if you took his 2 seasons that he's been here, right? He's had 114 the first season, 151 the first season. He's played in 13 games in both those seasons, started 4 of those games. He started 4 of those games in 2020 after getting drafted by Patricia and them. And then he started 4 games with Dan Campbell, right? So he's an afterthought. The fact that he got 8 starts in 26 games is the first piece of the puzzle. Secondly, when I go through and I look at this right here, it's not on the screen. It would help if it was. When I go through and I look at this, and I'm saying to myself, okay, we have people like DeAndre Swift who's sitting up there. This guy right here. Wait a minute, what the hell I just click on? Oh, you know what? I'm on the wrong page. How you go back? Yep, old school way. All right. All right, here we go. Let me go back up to the top. All right, so here's a guy right here who's got 332 rushing attempts in 1 season. 1 season. That's still more rushing attempts than they gave DeAndre Swift. And you have a fan base who seem to think that, oh, you can't bell cow him. And you don't have to bell cow him. He needs to be the main focal point feature back. He should have the bulk of the responsibility. He does not. And when I go through and I'm looking at people who right now, just in 1 season, 332, 307, 392. There go 3 backs right there who are featured backs. And this one was a rookie this year. A rookie who got 1,200 yards on 307 in 1 season. And I'm sitting up here looking at this guy who gets 151, who then turns around, has a total of 265 in a career. Yeah, he's an afterthought. That's where I get that from.
Okay, so why do you think for Najee Harris that they're more comfortable with giving him more rushes?
Because they drafted him high.
Okay, so to me, it's because he's 6'1" and 230 right now. He's built to take hits. The same thing with Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor's a stockier build. He's 225, 230-ish. He is 5'10", 5'11"-ish, about the same height as DeAndre Swift. But Swift is narrower. He's not as compact. Jonathan Taylor can take more hits. Najee Harris can take more hits. My worry was Swift, and you can see it, by the way, between looking at Taylor and Harris. They started all 17 games while getting double the workload. Swift, while playing half the workload, got hurt for 4 games in the season and only played 3 snaps in one of them because of that injury. So even though he can be that bell cow back, even while having half the snaps, both seasons he still missed 4 games.
Well, you know we went to a 17-game season, but I know what you're saying. All right, so your argument, which I think is a bad one, I just gonna be honest with you. Your argument is those guys are bell cows because they're bigger. Is that what you're saying?
They can sustain punishment better because they're sized up, they're heavier, and their bodies are stockier, making it allowing them to take more punishment throughout a season.
And here's the problem. Here's the problem that you run into. And again, I don't know if you know this or not. I don't know if you did it, but the idea of measurements to say that their bodies can, that's BS. And I'll show you why. DeAndre Swift is 5'9", 211. So I'm going to use the same metrics because I don't want to jump all over the place. What's going on in the mix? I don't want to jump all over the place. All right. So you said that he's not big enough because he's this. He's 5'9", 211. I decided to look at all the people who have more carries than him. Let's start with the first one right here. This right here is one Mr. James Robinson, who's 5'9", 219. So he's technically a few pounds heavier. Yet he had more carries and was the de facto starter before he got hurt. And it wasn't that.
Listen to the argument.
Okay, you want to interject? I'll let you interject because
Yeah.
I can finish this point in a heartbeat. This whole idea of height and weight. Let's talk about the other guy. You know this guy right here, Devin Singletary.
You wanted me to interject.
No, I'm saying you already did it. You already did. I was read. That doesn't have anything to do with it. It just doesn't, and that's the point I'm trying to show you.
It's the same reason Russell Wilson was able to hang in there at 5'10".
It doesn't have anything to do with it. This is the same argument they make for quarterbacks with height, and yet Russell Wilson is doing just fine. Kyler Murray's doing just fine. Doug Flutie did just fine. Drew Brees did just fine. Russell Wilson
is a stocky build. Drew Brees got the ball out.
That has nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with it. You have a guy who's 5'7", 203, who has been a de facto starter. You have another guy right here who was drafted late, who ironically is 1 inch taller than DeAndre Swift, who got more touches than DeAndre Swift, was drafted way later than DeAndre Swift, and performed as he stayed in rhythm. But I guess you can't do that because he can't take it. And the measurements are the same.
You mean he played for a Shanahan system?
No. See, now you want to keep moving the goalpost. Let's stick
moving the goalpost.
Let's stick to what you originally said.
Stop.
Okay, all right. Again, you're not even listening. I want to make sure that okay. So, I hate to do this. This is just not how it's supposed to go, people. You notice I be quiet when he's talking. I want him to have the voice to speak. He brought up the point to talk about height and weight. So let's take height and weight and make the same exact argument with height and weight. And that's what I'm doing. Here's the height and weight. He told me that Jonathan Taylor's height and weight. He gave me Najee Harris' height and weight. And that was his basis for explaining why they're bell cows. Well, let's talk about it. This guy is 5'9", 211, which from his standards, not mine, his standards, doesn't have the height and weight to be the bell cow. But I'm watching a whole lot of people. I'm watching a whole lot of people like 5'10", 1 inch taller and 3 pounds heavier. Elvin Kamara is the bell cow.
Elvin Kamara is a receiving back.
You still want to interject. You still want to interject. I hate to do this to you because this is the point of it. You have to be able to have it. Now, to get back to my point that he had, because when he said it, I didn't say that.
Interject, Luke, please.
Now, so we go back. Here's a guy in Austin Eckler, 5'10", 200 pounds. These are all guys who are getting it done and got more carries than our guy, because we want to get the ball to who? Jamal Williams, who, ironically, this is the part that really blew my mind right here, because we're talking about height and weight. Jamal Williams, now mind you, so since he's 6 feet 224, so since he's 2 inches taller and a few pounds heavier, that's why he's the bell cow. That's baloney. There are some dogs in this game, and it ain't got nothing to do with height and weight. It ain't got nothing to do with running style. We're not talking running style. We're talking about featuring the best running back. Jamal Williams doesn't rank as a starter. He's not. If you were to do a list of the starting 30, every team starting 30, all 32 teams starting running back, Jamal Williams would not be in the top 25. He would not.
Okay.
He is not a feature back under no circumstance. And if the idea is measurables, then I can tell you right now that that's a bunch of baloney.
Okay, please. Okay. So when you sit here and talk about, look at Elijah Mitchell. He's that size, and he also got more touches, and he was more productive because he got more touches. To me, what you're calling me out for moving the goalposts, that's not what's happening. To me, you're reducing and kicking out nuance. When you're saying Elijah Mitchell gets more carries and is more productive, well, shit, he's in the Shanahan offense who craps out running backs undrafted like they're nothing, right? Like, he got that amount of yardage, not because of his, not because of the rushing attempts, but because of the scheme. Almost every running back in that scheme does fantastic. And mind you, he played 11 games, started 10, but he played in 11. He got hurt 6 games. My principal argument when I brought this up was that DeAndre Swift at 151 carries, still was hurt for 14 games. 4 games. His first year in the league, he had 114 carries, was hurt for 3 games. Meanwhile, Najee Harris Jonathan Taylor has been able to keep up production, has significantly higher snaps, and has been hurt for 1. And that might not even be a hurt. He might have been rested. I'm not sure. Najee Harris, while in his first year doubling all of DeAndre Swift's productions, didn't miss a game. DeAndre Swift has missed 7. That's the principal issue. He already has an injury history. He physically cannot keep up that load of punishment. He physically can't. And that's my principal issue with this.
I can speak.
Bro, that's just petty. Go talk. I had a break.
No, I want to make sure you're not interrupted. That's what I'm saying, because you keep interjecting whenever I blow your shit.
But that's that shit that's petty though. That's
not petty. We have a debate. In a debate, one talk, the other listen. Okay? Can I talk, or do you want to go? I'm not there.
Bro. This is exactly what I mean by petty. In a debate, when people talk, if there is something you contend with, you interject.
Yeah, and if you're doing that quite often, it's to distract from the facts, and that's usually what people do when they debate. But let me get into this. We're gonna do this a little different.
That's not how that.
We're gonna do this a little bit different. First, we went from ranking the running backs, and I told you I couldn't rank him because he hasn't been given a fair shot. You didn't like that answer, and you said he has been given a fair shot. And then I show you running backs who've had more opportunities in one season that definitely had more seasons than that. Then on top of that, you go to measurables. You start talking about measurements and stuff like that. And I go, okay, cool. Measurables ain't got nothing to do with injuries or anything like that. That's not the case, because that has nothing to do with it. When Randy Moss came to the league, they say he was too skinny and too small. None of that mattered. The same thing that happened with Dante Hall and so forth and so on. This is measurements are not have to do. Injuries happen to every goddamn body. It's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. It just is what it is. It's injuries.
Mischaracterization.
Now that you have all the
what this is a straw man.
Okay, see, I'll wait.
So if you want a example of a logical fallacy, what you did was a straw man. You extrapolated my point. You said, "Oh, well, I believe they had given him a fair shot." I never said that. I just asked you why you believe he hadn't had a fair shot, and that's how we got here. You're straw manning what I believe in order to mischaracterize me. You're saying, oh, we're getting to measurables with the running backs. I talked about the stockiness of the build because typically the stockiness of the build does generally dictate how much somebody gets hurt. It's not a 1-to-1, but it does help take off some of that load. That's why Russell Wilson is a stocky person, and he has been able to keep up, even though he has been consistently one of the most hit quarterbacks in the league. But continue.
So once we move from the idea of measurements, and I showed you that measurements had nothing to do with it, you want to move it again to a different position. The reality is this. It's clear to me that you personally just don't like DeAndre Swift. That's fine. I'm not going to debate you on your personal view of a player. That's your personal view. But the reality is this. That I can just simply look at what's in front of me. I don't got to do ifs or fifths or none of that other stuff. I just look at the basic parts of it. And the reality is this. Based on what you have already said, which is in terms of all-purpose yards, we got more all-purpose yards with Swift. Yes, and we would have had even more if they played his ass more, because he's not a featured back. This is a problem, which is my main problem, which is the same thing that Miko from the Questionable Podcast agreed with me on, because he, like I, understand that you're not going to get a whole lot with Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams is only going to get you a stagnant person. Jamal Williams at this point is essentially Kevin Smith. You'll get you some runs here. He'll consistently be there, but nobody gives a shit. He's not a threat. When you look at other teams who have feature backs, you have to account for them. You have to. You have to account for Ezekiel Elliott. You have to account for Nick Chubb. You have to account for Jonathan Taylor. You have to account for Elvin Kamara. Nobody out here accounting for no goddamn Jamal Williams. They're not worried about him doing nothing special. I can show you in film in the game where he had a chance to bust it outside and tried to get outside, and it was the most painful thing I ever seen. I brought this up and I showed it at the time that it happened. And I'm just telling you right now, even in this debate, that when you look at Swift 100% is the better back. When you look at this debate, Swift gives you more than Jamal Williams. When you look at this debate, the idea that they keep splitting stuff and keep naming Jamal Williams a starter is baloney. You're more explosive, more dangerous with Swift than you are with Jamal Williams. If Jamal Williams was that guy, he would still be on Green Bay, but he's not. He's a complimentary running back who should have stayed a backup, and the reason he came here was because they wanted to simply make him the guy. That is the problem, and that is what I have an issue with.
Okay. Guys, I just pulled up on the screen. These are the outside run plays we called last year. They had about the same. DeAndre Swift had 34 runs of outside zone. Jamal Williams had 30. You can also technically count mid-zone if you want, the MC, but I'm not going to because that might throw some more aim for the B gap. If you take a look at what I circled at outside runs, which discredits what you just said, Luke, DeAndre Swift averaged 2.76, while Jamal Williams averaged over 1 yard more at 3.9. Jamal Williams last year was the better outside running back, despite what you said.
William, what the hell are you talking about? what are you talking about?
Hey, you just talked about, bro. You just talked about. You just said, I watched Jamal Williams. He can't run to the outside. I watched something last year.
That's not what I said. What I said, that was so painful. That's not what I said. I said there is this one game where I showed this on this one game where he had a chance to bust it outside and he could not. It was painful to see him try to go outside in that regard. Meaning that when he cut back to go outside, he could not get outside and he got caught immediately. I pointed that one play out because that was one of the plays where I saw that, hey, you better design for people to start blocking that way because he's not going to do that. Even in your the thing that you posted on Twitter where you show DeAndre Swift doing a lot of cutbacks, there was a few plays where I was like, yeah, he prematurely cut back on. Like he's trying to, do things. I can see where he can feel somebody behind him and he cuts back. But the reality is that he is 100% the better back. Now, again, to the people in the chat who's like, the problem is he can't stay healthy. Like Dr. Detroit says, he can't stay on the field to contradict Luke's point. I get the idea that he can't stay on the field. But one of the reasons why, and I've noticed this happening a lot, is people often get hurt when they're not really utilized. That's the issue, especially with running backs. When running backs are used sparingly, they get hurt. It just happens. You have to be able to use a running back to get them going. My own problem is this. He came in with, if you go back to the beginning of the video here, he came in to tell me that he disagreed with my idea of the split. But we can't find nobody last year whose splits were that close that was of significance.
That's a straw man, Luke. That's not what I said.
Okay. I'll let you say what you said. What did your first disagreement with me was?
The contention was it was not a contention with the splits that Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift had. It was their empirical, okay, they had this many touches. They each had this many touches, which mapped just about the same to when Nick Chubb and Hunt were compared. So DeAndre Swift and Nick Chubb went together. They had about the same touches every game. Then you went down to Jamal Williams and Kareem Hunt. They had about the same amount of touches the game. That was that argument. I disagree with the analogy. Not that I said it was justifiable with the Hunt, or with the, with the snap split, or the carry split, or touch split. That was never my argument.
Okay.
Which
So
makes sense why you've been arguing like that. If that's how you've been believing that was the argument.
So I'll go back, and I want you, because what you just said is different than what you said at the beginning of the video, and I want you to be aware of that, not because of any other reason than I want you to be aware of what you said. I gave you the opportunity to tell me what was your contention. Let's listen to your own words, not me, yours.
If you look at any successful body question,
he didn't like what I said, or I guess his perception of what I was alluding to, he did not like. So far, am I right, William? I'm not missing anything, right?
Yeah. So it all started with a Nick Chubb. One of the guys, I believe Scotty Questions from the Question podcast.
Yes.
Said one of his under the radar players from Lions is Jamal Williams. And Luke, even though we can't see his face, I saw his picture there, turned to disgust. So,
I mean, not disgust, but yeah, I had the emoji with the green face, just a little bit.
But yeah, so eventually the argument was that Luke's done with the split carries. If you look at any successful franchise that runs the ball, such as the tandem with the Browns, with Nick Chubb, with Kareem Hunt, that you'll see their carries are very, like, it's one guy, then the next, not more of an equal playing ground. Yeah, that was about it.
That's what you said, which is different than what you just said now. I reverbed what you said, and I said you had an issue with my idea of the splits, which I stand by. They should not be splitting carries. It should not be that close. And you at the beginning of the video said just that and said something different now. That's my point. I'm arguing what you said every single time.
No, I told. Okay, this all started in the Discord. All I said
we don't gotta go to the Discord. We gotta go about what you said on this video just now and at the beginning. And the reason we do this is because we can be held accountable.
My thing is, I have written words down before the stream. I told you the exact contention. I'm sorry if I misspoke it during the third time I told you it, but I expect by the third time I tell you it, that to understand what I'm talking about. Like, that's the third time I tell you, and now you're going, oh, well, the third time you accidentally misspoke, so that's what we're holding to. Like, that, I don't get that. Like, to me, that's disingenuous. You knew what I was talking about before we even got on the stream.
And I had you repeat what you were talking about at the beginning for the purposes of the debate so they can know what was going on. The point that I'm trying to tell you is that and this is one of the things, the reason I'm doing this is because I'm trying to tell you that you have been all over the place. And that's what I'm trying to say. Your original issue was with the splits. And to me, I told you, I have a huge problem.
That was what I said. That was a mistake. I did not mean that. When I said I have an issue with the splits.
But it's not just that, though, William. Hold on. Just stay with me, William. It's not just that. This is just me talking to you in terms of the debate. It's not just that, William. It's also the fact that at some point, you were arguing that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You were arguing that. You were arguing that point about the splits, and you use touches. You said, I don't care about carries, but I've been talking about carries the whole time. I've been talking about carries for months, all the way back to the beginning of the season, because I was tired of it. The same way I talked about the snap counts with Derek Barnes, and I said it's trash. The only point that I was making to you is I don't have a problem with y'all disagreeing with me. I don't. And it's one of the reasons why when you disagree, I said we can go live because y'all are constantly moving the argument. You say one thing and argue something different. And my point that I make is
fallacy. Yeah, that's what you're doing right now.
And the reality is this: if you don't have a problem with the splits, what is then again? This would be the third time on this video. What is your issue with what I said doing that video with the Questionable Podcast? What is your issue?
Okay, for the fifth time, I'm telling you, now that the one time I said it differently was a misspeak when you knew that was the third time I told you. So for the fifth time I'm saying this, it was your comparison between Nick Chubb and the Kareem Hunt split between versus the split between Swift and Jamal Williams in regards to their touches.
Regards to their carries.
No, That's not what I said. I said in regards to their touches.
Right, but you're changing the argument. I never said touches. I have always talked about carries, and that's what I'm trying to get you to understand.
I've always said touches from the moment.
Right, but this is the problem. You're disagreeing with me on something that I did not say. I said carries. You're talking touches. I wasn't talking touches. I was talking carries. I pointed out that he had 228 carries in comparison to Kareem Hunt's 78. I pointed that out. You're talking touches, so you really don't disagree with me.
You're pointing really out 78 touches over an 8-game span.
Okay, you define touches as them touching the ball, period, whether it's a pass or a run. Am I right?
Yep.
Okay, I'm talking about this number right here, which represents carries, 78. So he's not 78 touches per se, because in your opinion, your touches include passing and rushing. And if you were to include the passing and rushing, we know that he has a reception number of 22. So you would have to take 22 and add that to the 78, which would then give your representation of touches. I'm talking about carries. We are running the ball. We need to be a run-first team. We need to get back to the history of running the ball. And I pointed out to you before that when I watched people like Jamal Williams get 153 carries compared to a guy like DeAndre Swift, who's more explosive, get 151, those numbers are too close. What do you disagree with me on?
Luke, the entire time, for the 6th time, it was the comparison between them on the touches. While we were going live, you did not say anything about, okay, let's focus on the carries. You never told me to focus on the carries.
I have always talked carries.
My thing was I said touches. That's what I was focusing on, right? But you switched over to carries. Listen.
You're
pulling in one direction to suit a narrative you want to go with.
William, I never switched anything over, William, because guess what? William, I have been on record on multiple videos that I can go back to, and I'm telling you, you will never hear me say touches. I'm talking carries. I have always talked carries, and I even said in this video that the reason I do not include the receptions because it furthers my point. I want to keep this as flat and fair of a debate as possible. So that's what it is. In the mix, the link is in there for you to jump in.
Are you saying that to keep it fair, you only use either rushes or receptions?
No. To keep it fair, because my idea of talking about the splits were referring to their rushing attempts. And I pointed that out on numerous videos, including this one. And I talked about that in the other video. You hear me talking about carries in the video with the Questionable Podcast. Miko also agreed that he is sick of seeing the splits with the carries. And what I'm pointing out to you is that you're then moving to touches. And I told you off rip, we talked about this for over an hour at this point, and I've told you off rip that this is not, you're arguing something against something I did not say. I have always stayed by the same point that it's a rushing approach. The Lions are going to be a running team. You cannot have it. And I said, when you look at it, the feature backs, those gaps are not that close. I pointed out the 78 rushing attempts from Kareem Hunt to Nick Chubb, and Nick Chubb has been one. I pointed out Jonathan Taylor. I pointed out all these backs who were featured backs. And then you decided to argue the idea of touches and said, which you don't care about, and ifs and fifths. And I said, well, we ain't got to do ifs and fifths. Let's go about what happened. Let's keep it to the factual part. Because
I didn't say ifs and fifths.
Well, you said if you take this out and if you did this, he would have 1,400. And if you did,
I said if he stayed healthy.
It's recorded. It's recorded. I can go back and show you.
I understand, Luke. I said if he stayed healthy, he would have had 1,400 yards. But and that's just extrapolating out the games he was out. Now for the 13 games he was in, you want to know what he had? 1,100 yards. You want to know what I call that? A successful season for a good back. Because you also just completely misinterpreted what I said about Swift. You also said that I think he's a bad back. When did I ever say that? Not in this film, not in this video, not in this stream, not in the tweet thread.
So on the tweet thread, you came out and you asked me before we got on. You asked me before then. You said, I don't think he's as good as you think he is. I never said that you say he was bad. I said if you personally don't like him, that's cool. In your Twitter thread, which I retweeted, I support everybody, right? I retweeted it. In that thread, you even said there you walked away unimpressed, and you did a whole lot of ifs. If you take this out, and I said, yeah, but you essentially are doing to him what exactly that Barry Sanders did. I never commented that on the Twitter thing because I want you to have the support, but that's the reality.
That's not why I pull those plays out. You pull the plays out to see what happens. The reason I did that.
Hold on, wait. Why didn't you pull no plays out for Jamal Williams? You didn't pull a single play out for Jamal Williams. Yes,
I did. On inside zone wham, I did. On counter, I did.
Even on this, even on this, you did not pull out any plays.
Yes, I did.
Okay, what plays did you pull out? You said take out all his big runs, and Williams has a better average. You never pulled out anything from Williams. You never did.
Why in God's name do I have Jamal Williams with big plays at 3.88 yards per carry, and then without them at 3.68 yards per carry? Why in God's name did I?
William, I don't want to do this to you, William. I really don't want to do this to you. In where I can use the exact thing that you posted on Twitter against you, and I can show you there and show you in this video where you literally took out big runs. You said if you take out, this is what you said. This is your exact words. If you take out the big runs, matter of fact, I'm gonna just read your exact words.
No, Luke, just share my screen. I already pulled it up.
Oh, no. Show your Twitter post. Show that. Show your Twitter post.
No, I want to show the
stats. No.
I want to show you the stats.
I'll show it. I'll show the Twitter post.
No. Don't act like I'm hiding something now.
No. I'm not saying you are.
You're telling me that I didn't say.
I'm not saying you're hiding anything. I'm telling you what you said, and I'm telling you that you are constantly changing what you're saying to line up with your narrative.
No, I'm not. I simply looked at 305 snaps of Lions running back film. And came to a conclusion on what I saw. And you know what? When you say I don't add in those plays, that's complete bullshit. Because if you look at the stat sheet where all the big plays and yards per carry without big play per concept, you can see right there that they vary. For counter, Jamal Williams had a big play. Because guess what? Jamal Williams only had 2 big plays. DeAndre Swift had 8. That has been my principal argument. Jamal Williams is a more consistent back. He won't get you big plays, but he'll get you consistent numbers.
Okay. I'm not. I got to make sure I get the right thread. I don't want to do this, but God damn, you tweet way more. I got to step my tweet game up. Shit. How in the hell do you have this, William? How do you? Holy fuck! Do you know how many tweets you do in a day?
Really, not that many.
The hell you don't. The hell you don't. Good grief.
Yeah, I just retweet what we have in Western Michigan. That's about it.
Yeah, y'all in that mud chatting it up. Let me get to, y'all in that goddamn thing, letting that thing rip. Okay. Let me get to the to your thread for Swift. I gotta find a thread for Swift. That's what I got. Oh wait, you said this to me.
So first, the stats. I broke down Jamal Williams to give a comparison stats wise, and it showed something interesting. Swift without big plays is a sad running back. He isn't consistent enough for me to be confident in him.
Okay, so let's go back.
That's different than anything I've said.
That's but you just said what I said. You said Swift without big plays is what? Because this is why I wanted you to bring it up.
A sad running back because he's not consistent enough.
Okay, so wait. See,
this
So where in that statement did you remove anything from Jamal Williams? Swift without big plays is a sad running back. What is Jamal Williams without what? Well, you didn't take anything from him. And that's my point, William.
Wait,
you are literally
that's not. Look,
you are literally
share my screen. Share my screen right now.
No. I'll show your screen.
No,
I'll show your screen when you bring up the tweet. Bring the tweet.
The tweet is up right here.
I can see the screen. It's not.
Luke,
it's not up.
Luke, it is literally right there. I can't tell you that this is the tweet.
Where's it at? No, make that big. Get that other shit off the screen. Make that big. Thank you.
Luke, Luke.
Let's read. Let's read.
Luke, you know what?
Let's read your words.
Let's
read your words.
You know what you are doing right now, Luke? You are doing the exact same thing I am saying that you're accusing me of. You're doing the exact same thing.
No. You want me to stop? No, I hate to do this. You want me to stop, but you're not answering the original question. You literally took out stats to make the statement, and then you said that you did not do that, and I said you did. And now we have your words on screen where you said, take out the big plays, and he's a sad running back. That don't sound like you think he's a good player. That don't sound like you remove something to make him a bad player.
No, Luke, I have to assume it's either dishonesty or lack of reading comprehension. You're sitting here and saying, in this tweet, I did not also comment about Jamal Williams. When this thread is on DeAndre Swift, and there's an entire picture right here that you can click on, and when I click on it, it shows right here that he has 0.5 more yards a carry.
And now you're moving the post again.
No, I'm
Let's
not.
go back to your. No, listen. You want to William? I hate to do this. I'm going to do this every time until you stop and listen. You use the following words, and when you use those words, I listen, and I listen well. It's one of the reasons that I'm good at my job, because I have to listen to repeat that in court. And what I'm telling you is right now, you made the following statement that you never took anything out and that you took something out from Jamal Williams. I understand that the thread is about DeAndre Swift. I do. But in order for you to make the statement you made about DeAndre Swift, you said the following words, that if you take out, I'm sorry, let me reuse your words. Swift without big plays is a sad running back. This is not my words. These are your words. And when you use those words, you are trying to make a point. You went through play upon play with showing the good, the bad, and the ugly. I appreciated that about the thread. But the reality is this. From the get-go, this whole debate would have been avoided because you just wanted to debate. The truth is, you don't think he's that good of a running back. That's fine. I understand your perception of that. You then
I just want to debate. Okay.
You then tried to use the idea of measurements, and then when I showed you that other running backs didn't have the measurements and they still played and were the bell cows, and so then we went from that. We all over the place. We've been on for an hour and 52 minutes. I want to wrap this up because to me, this is a done deal.
Wait, by the way, Luke, like you postured like I'm the one that wanted to debate. You specifically added me on Discord saying, let's go live and debate this. So you're the one that wanted to bring this on live.
Wait. Why did I say that?
No. You're going to sit here and impugn me for one sentence, so I can't do the same thing.
It's your words. It's your word. No, you can't do it to me. Now I'm going to ask you to put it in context. Why did I say we can go?
No. That's the funny part. Put that in context. You're saying that I took something.
Hold on. We're going to put it in context.
Luke, please stop. Stop.
This is the thing. Everybody wants me to stop, but they keep talking the moment I say something.
I'm asking the question.
Just answer the question. Hold on, wait. Just answer the question. Did you or did you not initially send me a message in Discord to disagree with something that I said on the Questionable podcast? Did that happen first?
Luke, if you're going to impugn me for not adding context to you, but then you taking one sentence on a tweet and then making that as though it is my entire argument, is that not the exact same thing? You're just taking that out of context. Where you're saying, wait.
I hate to do this again. Have y'all noticed I asked him a very specific question? It was very specific. In the question, I'm going to repeat it again. Bro. Maybe this time he'll answer it. Because he's trying to deflect in a way that makes it funny. Now, in the Discord, I said, let's go live and debate this, right? But something happened first. Something happened before I said, let's go live and debate. I'll repeat the question, William, because you didn't answer it the first time. This is a yes or no question, Mr. William. Did you or did you not make a post in Discord towards me about something that I said on a show with questionable podcast? Yes or no?
I'm not going to answer that with a. I'm not going to answer that with a yes or no. As everyone can see, stop. Because you're living. Hey, no. Dog, my dad is a lawyer. I understand what you're doing. Stop.
Oh my God! It's a simple question. Did you not eject by putting it into there?
Hey, watch me. Hey, watch it. Well, yes, I did. What happened was all I said was I did some digging and found something interesting. All I was saying was that I just gave some stats to it. In any portion of this, did I say let's debate? Did in any portion of that?
No.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Slow down right here.
No. Now we got the first part that he came in to make a statement to me. And after he made the statement, no, go back up, William. Go back up. Don't go too far. Go back down just a little bit. I want you, because when I asked you a question, I said, I don't understand your question. Remember, I asked you that. I said, I want to make sure I understand it. You see, I responded to that. Right? Is that what happened? Let's follow the whole thread. I could bring it up, but I would rather you do it, and we can do this in an honest way. I said, I do not understand this question, or what are you saying? Like, I'm confused, right? Because you were attempting to say those following statements to me in an attempt to have a conversation about something you really don't disagree with me on. You just wanted to debate. And then after you did that, and then we had some people chime in. That's not the point. But after that happened, you then turned around and I said, look, that's not the case. And then I said, look, and I said it to you and two other people. I said, feel free to go live with me and debate this. Is that what happened? Because before you had the point of contention, that's not what happened. Well, let me go ahead and show the truth then. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that.
No. Stop.
We're going to do it.
I want to use truth. I want to use your exact language. It was not, hey, feel free to go live and debate this. You said, let's go live and debate it. That is a completely different.
100%. Let's go live and debate it, because you are trying to attempt to challenge me on something I said on the thing, and now I got to go through and show the truth because you are trying to play. You overplayed your hand in this one. And in the end, you're getting shown. It's getting shown.
How did I overplay my hand?
Let me go ahead and go back to where it all began.
Because
I never added you with a disagreement. You added me, and then you added supported information. But since you insisted on doing this, then let the games begin. Because I do not understand how we get to this conclusion when you're trying to do a deflect job. Again, for those who don't know, I'm an investigator as a career person, right? And when doing as an investigation, lawyer. Don't do that. When doing one of the things as an investigator, you have to be able to make sure that you follow through. And when you don't understand something, you don't react. You ask questions. Now, I want to show where I literally did not at him at any point in time. All right. Now, let me make this big. I want people to see the truth. I don't want people to just think, because you chose this debate. You the one that brought it up. That wasn't a me thing. That was you.
Wait, I want clarification. At any point in this, am I looking for a debate?
All right, hold on 1 second. My man Jim Live is in here. Jim, hold tight. I want to show this really quick. And then once I show this, we can put this to bed. This right here says today, as in today's time. Also, Luke G, listen back to your stream. You talked about how the carries splits for Hurts and Chubbs is what the Lions should resemble. Did a little digging and found something interesting. Touches per game. Even though you acknowledge I talked about carries, you didn't claim that I never once said anything to you about carries. But that's another story. We got you on that one too. You did say touches per game, passing or rushing.
Bro, do you have a hard time hearing or something?
You said what you said. Passing or rushing. Swift, 17.25 if you include the 2 games post-injury, but they did give him much to keep him healthy. Williams, 13.8, Chubb, 18.3, 14.3, and you went on. Now, I go And now, mind you, I'm out here just chilling. I ain't did much of nothing. I'm chilling. So I'm like, huh? So
Stop making
then
it seem like I'm
it
just
says when
instigating
healthy.
stuff, bro.
See, hold on. This is why I have to keep muting you because
No,
now
stop.
you're not
You're
listening.
framing
You want to
You're
keep
framing
interjecting.
stuff, bro.
So now at that point, I have to be able to get this out because I want the truth to be heard. Now what happens is you come back and you say when healthy, Swift almost got 20 touches a game, which is crazy over a 17-game season. Even the second number is 293 touches on the year, which is a big load on Swift. Mind you, the high end is 323 more than Nick Chubb got. Even though they are not straight running plays, I think looking at touches is total is the way to go, especially for a receiving back as good as Swift. Now, I'm confused as hell, all right, because I don't know what the hell going on. So at this point, I say at 2:19 p.m. today, I say, question mark, I'm so confused. What exactly are you talking about? He then responds with, let me go down here. I got to get down to where he's at. I said, I don't want to misunderstand what you are meaning. When you have time, please explain what you're talking about exactly. Now, there's other conversations going on, but obviously we have people who chimed in and stuff too. So I got to get down to it. He says, you talked about the carries again, even though he claimed that I never said carries. Y'all can go back and hear this. You talked about the carries between Swift and Williams, that you believe the split was too much and should give away more to Swift. And I said, okay. Y'all, that's my son getting mad. He got to go to bed. My bad. And I said, okay. And then somebody chimed in too. And I said, okay, cool. We're going to keep going down to what me and you was talking about. We ain't got to listen to what everybody else was talking about. Right? Because they were talking. You says touches. And I said, you says, my bad, I mistyped. I said, okay. I meant touches. I said, okay. He says, it's right here. It's hard to compare Hunt and Chubb since they were both hurt on and off this year. And I came, and then you also said, honestly, 2020 might be the better year to look at for them since it represents how they would normally divide the carries when healthy. And I said, oh my God, shaking my head. So skip 2021. Why attempt to debate me when I was talking about last season? You said, wait, I wasn't. My argument was touches per game. That was in 2020. I said injuries had nothing to do with the separation in Hunt and Chubb's carries. You said, yeah, oh, that's the wrong person. Let me come down. I said, I never said anything about passing. I don't care about a running back's reception. The Lions did a horrible job with our running backs having them split carries. It says let's I don't know why I put that there, but it says they did last season many games. They got 14 carries and rarely went over 14 because they were splitting carries. The fact is, Swift should have had way more carries than Williams and should have started over. You said, to me, touching the ball is all that matters. Swift got the ball more than Nick Chubb when healthy. A touch is a touch, just like how screens are just run plays that started somewhere else on the field. I said, that's cool if you see it that way, but to touch on what I said, you have to address what I said, and what I said was true. I then came back, you then came back and says, being in the first snap is cool and all. And then you said, but when Swift was literally doubled, the snap counts of Jamal, he's the starter. That's me. All right. And then I go, Swift is not the starter. Shaking my head, laughing out loud. That's just false. This is not even debatable, is what I said to you. All right. I then came back after even saying that. You sends me these clips. Swift is not the starter. Shaking my head. That's just the fact. That's you responding. You point this out and you show the snap counts. This is you debating me when I'm talking about carries. This is you debating me. You said Swift had 250 more snaps than Williams with the same number of games. That's the starter. But he didn't have the same number of games because he wasn't starting those games. And that's not what a starter is. You says, again, don't care if he's the first player of the game. I care if he takes the majority of the snap shares, and still he's getting as many touches as Nick Chubb did. But we know that's not true because I can go and look at Nick Chubb's rushing total and compare it with his passing, and it's still going to be higher than Swift. I left it alone. I said, this happens every time. Y'all come in, say something, be wrong, and change the argument. Answer me. This is how many games did Swift start? How many did Williams start? I asked that question. I said, I understand why Swift has more snaps, and it supports my point. We better with him than with Williams. I've supported all of this. So when you say that I'm trying to change something, that simply is not true. Now, with that being said, because the truth is out there, Jim, what's going on, brother? You jumped in. I'm having this. I don't know why I'm even having this debate, because the reality is that he's arguing something that I never even said.
Oh yeah, I tuned probably like.
Oh, you breaking up on me, Jim?
Bro, you are robot as hell.
Yeah, you breaking up.
Are you on the right headset to go into the right thing?
All right, let me try it. Let's see if that fixed.
No,
it's still breaking up.
Are you going on the right mic?
I don't know why, but I don't even know why we're having this debate. It's not a debate. You don't disagree with me. You're changing what I said to touches, which is where you include receptions and rushing. I don't care about the receptions because that further supports my point. I want to focus on what we need to do to win games, and that's run the ball.
All right, Jim, give it another shot.
I think he's still trying to fix it.
All right.
Oh wow, that got worse. You went full ultimate.
My man in a chapel as a robot. Oh God, I'm echoing.
I got. Nope, it's not working.
I think it went way worse.
Yeah, it got worse. Here, this is what I'm gonna do. Try logging out and logging back in, Jim. Again, I left it open for y'all to come in. Y'all can have y'all opinions and everything. I'm not against it, but I just wanted William to see that he initiated the debate when he went back and forth, and I kept iterating the same thing over and over and over, which is carries.
Okay, so when I messaged this, the whole thing, I was talking about touches. You can see from the get-go, every time I mentioned it, it was touches. One time I messed up and said carries and scrolled down. You can see that I corrected that later and said touches. My bad, I mistyped. Meant touches. You can see that. Right? My thing is that when you say I'm trying to shift the goalpost, that's not what is happening. What is happening here is you say, this happens every time y'all come in, say something, be wrong, and change the argument. Answer me, how many games did Swift start and Williams start? But that wasn't the question. You said, Swift is not the starter, shake my head, lol. That's just false. So I didn't change it. You just said he's not the starter. That's why I brought up the snap count. Now you go down and go, oh man, you're changing the argument. Just answer me, how many games did he start? That's you trying to railroad me into something. All right, Jen, give me another shot.
Does this sound better?
Oh thank the Lord. Way better.
My
you
man,
had the whole.
I don't know what happened.
You had that Megatron voice going on. Like I felt like you had that.
That's what I was hearing. I put in my AirPods and it was so choppy, and I was like, "Oh, it must just be on my end."
But how you been living?
What's going on, Jim? Because I know you. I mean, listen. I don't even know why we're debating this, Jim. But what are your thoughts on this? I mean, obviously, my viewpoint is the miles ahead person should be DeAndre Swift. What is your viewpoint on it? And what is your viewpoint on the debate?
So I've been in here like the last 45 minutes, trying to understand. So what was the initial debate? Because I understand it's Swift versus Jamal Williams and the lines is it who should be the starter, who should get more carries, or is it the fact that DeAndre Swift isn't as good as people think they are? Because I feel like that's really important when we're talking about this.
Yeah, so the way it started out, there was two phases. The first one, Luke made a comparison on the with the Questionable Podcast crew about DeAndre Swift should be by far have the most carries because that's what happens with Chubb and Hunt. And to me, you can't look at a running back's contribution just through carries. You also need to include their touches. So adding in the receptions as well. So to me, the way I want to look at it was, okay, sure, carries are carries. They can have that different. But when you look at their touches, the touches are actually about the same split between Hunt and Chubb versus Williams and Swift. And
so who would you like? What would you see like as like a more realistic comparison? Because I see like people in chat, like I've been in chat like the last like couple of minutes, and people are saying AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones. Like what is your like comparison? Because like I see like the Lions, like they're like building like a really good offensive line. That's like my biggest thing with like the Lions. Like they're building the trenches. They've leaked into like the top half, if not top 10 offensive lines, and like
easily top 10.
Yeah, at least the top 10. So they are going to be a running team. So having multiple running backs is super important. Like we look at the Ravens, they had J.K. Dobbins and like Gus Edwards, and like all these guys go down with injury. Or like we mentioned earlier, we have like Kyle Shanahan. You said like they scheme people open, and you can have a 6th-round pick with a guy like Elijah Mitchell. There's so many interesting things like Theo Riddick. So the Theo Riddick and Kyle Shanahan like debate is like the most interesting and the most valid to me, because if you have a good offensive line, I think you could have the best running back in the league and they would be shit because if they're behind a bad offensive line. I think it's a very dependent position. So when I think like you're looking at like what the Lions need, if you think they're going to be a running team, you need someone that's going to bring the most versatility. And like you said with Theo Riddick, or like you said with like a Darren Sproles, like someone that when they're on the field, it's like, okay, it's like a 3rd and 9. They're going to pass it. Like they're going to be in scat protection. The running back's going to be on the route. Like they have to know that. But when I think you have a guy like DeAndre Swift, or you have a guy like Aaron Jones, they're going to be the people where there's going to be a lot more to question, because I think DeAndre Swift is going to be a guy that can run it between the tackles on the outside on a sweep, and he can go out and like catch it. And you need a guy like Jamal Williams to be like kind of like the bruiser back. And if he has like a bigger frame to pound the ball, like that's necessary when you're a running team. But when you're talking about like who's more versatile or who's better for the team overall, I don't think you can, like I saw earlier, you can't take away the big runs. You can't do this because if you look at like traits, when you have an offensive line like this and you are a running team, you have to go based off of like what brings in the most questions. So let's say, because a lot of the times it's going to be a
third. Real quick.
It's going to be a 3rd and 3, a 3rd and 4, a 3rd and 5. Okay. When you're a running team, what you're able to do with a good offensive line, especially depending on field position, you can either run it or pass it. When you have Jamal Williams in there, what do you think it's going to be? He's either going to be in there in pass pro, picking up someone else, chipping. But when you have DeAndre Swift, you have that big play ability if they're going to be in soft coverage, if they think it's a passing down, and he can run it. So to me, DeAndre Swift is far and away trait-wise, and that's what you're looking for. When you have a good offensive line, what you're looking for trait-wise is a running back that can kind of give you anything in any field position, especially in 3rd down. And that's when we talk about that bell cow back. It's not as much as like, can you take all the hits, because like it really doesn't matter. Like I played like college football, and you can play and you can get hit all you want, but you can also sprain an ankle on a dance floor. Like you can get hurt whenever.
Yeah.
So I think it's like a lot more necessary to like think what's going to bring the offense more versatility. And when you think of someone that can be in that 3rd and medium, 3rd and awkward situation, depending on the field position, who's going to give you the most legitimate chance to move the chains? And when you move the chains, that's what brings up points. And I think DeAndre Swift far and away brings more value in that aspect.
Yeah, so when I brought up the big plays, the reason I pulled him out was not to discredit anyone, right? The avenue I did that through was to show, okay, if we take those out, I was curious to see, like, okay, what's their average just on, if I give them the ball? What's like a consistent number I can count on that they're going to get me? And that was more how the lens of like, I was just curious to see how that would come out. And like, it's an easier way to see like, because big runs are inconsistent. You want people who can get them more often, right? But yeah, in my mind, you want people who can break it, get bigger plays more often. But at the same time, I want to see what they get me on a down basis to see like, to try and understand why they're being used in the way they are. So like, maybe Dan Campbell and crew were putting in Jamal Williams when they wanted more consistent yards. I'm not sure, but on a down basis, like for instance, outside zone, even with big plays, he still got 1.2 yards more a carry than DeAndre Swift. So like it was more of a like just another lens you can look at it through. It wasn't a players have to be viewed without their big plays. Does that make sense?
I don't feel like you can do that though, because like that adds something that's so special that like, so if you're saying like DeAndre Swift has that more like big play ability, like if we look at someone like with the Packers last year, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, or what Deshaun Jackson has been doing with a multitude of teams over like the past like decade. Like if you're like, okay, if you take away his big play ability, what does he do when he catches the ball within 5 to 12 yards of the line of scrimmage? Like, okay, yeah, he might be less average than someone that's like more working in the slot or getting like finding those soft spots and zones. But like you need that too. So if it's like not going to be detrimental and he's going to add the versatility, and like I feel like when it's so close, when you're talking about just carries, if you're just talking about carries, if it's that close and you have to neglect big plays and receptions to make like an argument valid for Jamal Williams, I think that's kind of where it gets skewed, because like I think overall they're both important. Like you need that 1-2 punch. Like the best rushing attacks don't have one running back. Like we see that. Like you kind of run them into the ground. Like you need that 1-2 punch. But like if you're looking for the guy, you can't take away receptions and big play carries on like outside sweeps. That's like a big part of it, especially when you have like Hawkinson that's going to play the role. When you have like Jameson Williams now, that's going to be
a big play guy, a big play guy, a guy that you're looking to make those big plays.
Play guy. So we have like
that Deshaun Jackson one is the perfect.
We have them working like the intermediate stuff. Like if it's like that close, if it's this close, when we're just talking about carries, but then when you add receptions and you add big playability and you add versatility on third and awkwards, like it's DeAndre Swift.
Jim, I want to. Can I jump in? Can I jump in, Craig?
Yeah.
Can I jump in, William?
Yeah.
The thing is this, and to me, when I initially made my statement, I made this, believe it or not, at the beginning of last year after that damn 49ers game, because I was so agitated at what was happening. And I'm like, look, get this man the ball. He needs to be the starter. But to move it forward, this would be a better debate if we were talking about average players versus above average players. To me, the above average players do get the big plays. They do stand out from the other people. They are a threat. And that's been my main argument the whole time. And I never understood what was William trying to do. And when I pointed out that he was doing things to further an argument of his viewpoint, that's when it became a debate. Because I'm like, you're taking out things that happen. And you're giving me ifs, like if he had to carry the ball 33 times, he would have this many yards. But let's talk about what happened. We know what happened. It's already played out. And the reality is when talking about starters, he was saying that, oh, well, this guy got more snaps. And I'm like, yeah, because he was taking them. He was getting more done than Jamal Williams. And it shows evidence in every stat in the film. It shows that he was getting more done. Even after he went nuts against Pittsburgh, he still got benched, and that was a problem.
When did I ever say he wasn't getting more? Wait, I think.
I have a question. I want a question for Luke real quick. I feel like this might help. So, Luke, let's say it's 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, 4th and 2, 3rd and 2. What running back do you have in the game?
Jamal Williams.
I 100% agree. What about 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. Who do you have in?
DeAndre Swift.
Yeah,
that's where it's at.
I think so. Gemini brought up a really good point where, like, looking at Valdez-Scantling and Deshaun Jackson, if you take away the big plays, like, you can use the exact same phrase that I had in my tweet thread, which was they would be a sad receiver. But that doesn't, and that might have been a poor choice of words on my end, because that does not mean I think that's what they are. And that doesn't mean I'm pulling them out to show his true colors. It's more like, okay, so in the analysis, this is a guy who you try and give the ball, and then he breaks one. Give the ball, then he breaks it. Does that make sense? It's kind of like,
to me, it's
more.
Close. It's that close without those metrics.
Yeah, to me,
and William, Zach
like,
got a question for you, William. He wants to know, why do you take out the big plays? What is the reason for it? And it's also one of the reasons why I asked you, why didn't you take out anything for Williams? You took out nothing for Williams. You took out something for what did you take out for Williams?
I took out the 2 big plays he had. That was okay. The reason I did it was to demonstrate what type of running back they are. Jamal Williams will not get a home run for you. We want him in on 3rd and 1. 4th and 1, 2nd and 2, 3rd and 2, where we can get him to get the first.
That's not your starter. That's not your starter, though.
Wait. My thing was, I never was against Swift. Luke has been making this out where I am dead on Swift. To me, he is the starter.
I've been in at least like an hour now. Like, it seems like you're way more down on Swift.
Thank you.
Independent person. Wait, stop. Luke, stop. Please.
Bro,
let me talk.
Bro, you have been. Like, I feel like
it's
whether
the way Luke's been framing this.
Like, for argument's sake, or like to prove like who should be the starter, like, bro, DeAndre Swift, I feel it sounds like he's like fucking chopped liver, bro. Like,
I said he's a juiced up theoretic. That's a great thing.
That's a terrible comparison.
He's a juiced up theoretic that can do. No, he's a juiced up theoretic in the passing game who can do more in the running game. What do you want more from a back? He's a good running back. I've never said otherwise.
Then what is Jamal Williams? Is he a juiced up Derrick Henry? Like, that's what he's like sounding like.
Nah,
it's
the way Luke has been framing all this.
I think the balance between Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, AJ Dillon, and Aaron Jones is perfect. I feel like the Browns and the Packers have it perfectly figured out, where in those awkward situations, they know who their back is. In their special situations, they know if it's 3rd and 9, 3rd and 11, AJ Dillon's not going to be in the game. They know that. If it's 3rd and 1, Aaron Jones probably isn't going to be in the game. Like, it's so fine cut, clear to fine lines, but like, who gives you more versatility? It's Nick Chubb and it's Aaron Jones.
Yeah,
but like,
those are the de facto starters. That's the thing that I was making the point of. You have de facto starters who can do those things, and that's what my whole point has always been, is that there are de facto starters who can do these things. Now, William, I'm being honest. I haven't said anything, and every time I try to chime in at the gym, you start talking. I'm
trying to talk, and then I say something.
I haven't said anything. But go ahead.
Okay, look, it's just that because Jem directed that towards me, so I'm trying to respond to what he was saying. So that Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon is different than Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, because they actually got, mind you, if they played the same amount of games, Aaron Jones was hurt for 2, they would have had the exact same amount of carries. So they would have been in the same situation as Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. And you know what? AJ Dillon got 108.03, and Aaron Jones got 799 with their carries, rushing wise. So I want to make it very, very clear. I am not taking away big plays. I am not taking away receptions. It is just like if you take away, for instance, Deshaun Elliott's big plays, you won't see very many yards, and you go, oh, okay. So the way he's utilizing this offense and his ability is that he's a vertical threat who hits these big plays. It's like Travis Fulgham, I think 3 years ago, where you just look at the stat sheet. He has 2 or 3 catches for like 20 apiece. Okay, so that's how we're using him, right? He's getting these long downfield bombs. So I'm not taking these big plays away to discredit anyone. It's just a way for me to say, okay, so how are we using him? What are his strengths and weaknesses? Okay, he gets more big plays than Jamal Williams. We need big plays. And I have never said anything against that. So I'm not taking anything away from the player. It's just a different lens of analysis. And that's why I get a little frustrated with Luke when he says I never pulled anything away from Jamal Williams when I did. If you look at the stat sheet, you see the 2 big plays I had reflect in the yards per carry. But because he didn't have as many big plays, it's not going to change his numbers as much. But you can also see in that DeAndre Swift still had 4.2 yards a carry, while Jamal Williams had 3.88. I'm not discrediting him. He is the better back.
But William, I'm gonna ask you 2 questions. They are yes or no questions. I'm only looking for a yes or no question. Did you or did you not tell me before we got on that you don't think DeAndre Swift is as good as I think he is?
Yes, because you think.
Okay, wait. Here go the second question.
No.
Wait.
I need to preface that.
No. Wait.
I need to preface that because that's leading.
No. Let him after the second question.
Here's the second question. The second question I have is this: when talking about the 2 running backs, and you were always referring to touches, whereas I was referring to carries, right? And so when I asked you earlier, what did you disagree with me on? And you gave your reason on what you disagree with me on, and you showed your proof in that, would it be fair to say that technically you didn't have a disagreement with me, you had a different viewpoint? So there was no need to debate me and my viewpoint other than just to share your viewpoint. Would that be a fair assessment?
I was never debating you in the first place. I gave you another perspective. Like, Jem, what I mean by that is that when I sent this, I heard his argument. I was like, hey, here's another perspective. I wasn't looking to get into this whole, like, what are we in, 2.5 hours into this thing now? Like, I wasn't looking, this wasn't what I was fishing for. I was just like, hey, this is another perspective you can look at, basically. And it ended up translating to this whole shit show that's been going on. And that first question, shoot, I forgot what the first question was. This is why I like answering them right away. What was the first one?
But
wait, I want to remember what the first one was.
It don't matter.
I want to know what the first one is so I can respond.
The first question is, did you not say you don't think DeAndre Swift is as good as I think he is? And you said yes.
Yes. That is a completely all right statement. In anywhere in that do I say he is bad?
We're not talking about that. That's the point. This is what I talk about when we're talking about moving the goalposts. You're trying to say that you're not down on the guy, but you are. And it's okay to be down on the guy. It is. I'm okay with that. But
I'm not down on the guy. I'm not
you
as
compared
high
to Theo
as
Reddick.
you.
What running back in his life ever want to be compared to Theo Reddick? Even if it's a juiced up Theo Reddick. Who wants to be compared to a juiced up Theo Reddick? Name me the running back who wants that comparison.
A juiced up Theo Reddick who is better in the run game. Luke.
Bro, I don't even think like people like outside of Lions fans would even remember Theo Reddick.
No, nobody. Theo Reddick was a slot receiver playing running back, and I hated it because you knew that when he got in the backfield, we was passing the ball. I hated it.
I think to me, this just feels like you interpreting and extrapolating my position to he is bad. In the Twitter thread.
No.
In the Twitter thread, I even stated at the very end that I believe Dan Campbell needs to put him in better positions. Why are we having him run outside zone when he's not even, when we're not getting at least 3 yards of rush out of him?
If you believe that Dan Campbell needs to put him in bad positions, right? This is just me. If you believe that he needs to put him in better position, then why were you arguing with me when I told you that he was not utilized in that 2-year span?
Because it's a different argument.
It's not.
Wait. Because you're arguing. Wait,
I
I want to respond to this real quick. If you are arguing you want more utilization, that's different than I want him used differently. You say you want you want more workers. When I'm saying this worker is better at this, so therefore he should be put on this job instead of just giving that worker more of the same bad job he was already doing. You feel me? Like, although we are both talking about their utilization, it's completely different. I'm talking in the scheme, what type of run plays he's been given, while you're talking about he should just get more carries in general. Those are two completely different things.
All right.
Sorry,
So let's say we're week 1, 2022 season.
Mhm.
First kickoff, Lions get the ball. We have the ball on the 25-yard line. It's 1st and 10. You can pick any personnel you want to. What running back do you have out there?
It shouldn't even take this long to answer.
Depends on the call I'm going.
No, I mean no. You can be in fucking wing T 32 set, or you can be in 10 or like 11 set, like whatever you want.
Yeah. It depends on what I'm calling.
He's telling you, William. He's telling you are making the call. So whatever call you make,
you're making the call.
Who are you starting at the running back spot?
I understand that, Luke.
No, because I feel like DeAndre Swift, I feel like Jamal Williams serves a purpose. Like, he serves a purpose on this Lions team. That's why they have him. That's why they picked him up from the Packers. Like, they have him for a reason.
And my argument here ain't that when I say it depends on what we're running, I'm not like
it's whatever you want. It's whatever you want.
Exactly. It depends. Let me just get out. Luke, I understand what's being said. Luke,
let me mute you for a minute, William, because
you're not
let me
be more specific.
I'm
muting you because he's trying to get you to get to an answer and you're dodging it.
I'm trying to answer it.
Get to the answer
as successfully as I can.
Wait.
I'm trying to add nuance into it.
Can I be more transparent? My objective in that question is I personally believe in 1st and 10, whatever personnel you put out there, it's DeAndre Swift. And I would want to know why you would think it would be Jamal Adams.
Jamal Williams.
Jamal Williams, yeah, sorry.
So first, in most cases, I would put out DeAndre Swift, right? That's what I've been trying to say, except every time I try to add nuance into it, I got cut off.
That's a lie, William. That's a lie. That's a lie. He literally asked. He literally muting you right now because we're not going to do this lie. He literally asked you a question and you tried to dance around it. And I didn't say a thing. He didn't say a thing. Don't try to make it seem like we were interrupting you in your question. We waited patiently as you sat there and stuttered up the word because you didn't have an answer. You tried to put caveats where it depends on what we're running. He then gave you another out by telling you, hey, it's your word, squirrel. Get your nut. Whatever play you want to call, who's the starter? You danced around it. Don't make it seem like we are here interrupting you and not letting you say. Get to the answer. That's the point. And you want to keep telling us to stop because we haven't said nothing. That's what I'm confused about. You're trying to change the narratives when it didn't happen that way. And that's not cool. That's not how it works. He asked you a question. It should have a straight up answer. That's fair.
That feels so disingenuous to me. I really want to put this out there. I listen to debate streams all the time, and this feels super bad faith right now. So, let me hit why. I'm trying to clarify. Okay, in different type of schemes, if I'm running outside zone, why the fuck would I put someone out there who gets 2.76 yards a carry, even if it's on 1st and 10? I'd rather put Craig Reynolds out there because he's the best at outside zone we got. Okay? That's what I'm trying to clarify. But then you say I'm tap dancing around the question, but I'm trying to add nuance into it. That's my issue.
You never answered the question to add nuance to it.
Well, what I answer with? I answered DeAndre Swift.
No,
I
you
answered
didn't. You
DeAndre.
answered
Yes,
DeAndre
I
Swift
did.
after he made the statement that he said if it's him, no matter what it is, he said he's putting in DeAndre Swift.
I was
And
going.
that's when you then
Bob,
said, well,
I was
in
going
most
to
cases,
say
I would put.
that.
But when he first asked the question,
But
you danced around it, and that's why he kept giving you
he
out.
said because the initial claim was given, you can put any personnel, any formation, call any play. Who would you put out there? So if I'm calling any play, why would I put someone who gets literally half as many yards on outside zone out there as Craig Reynolds? And that's why I'm trying to give nuance to that. In most scenarios, I'm going to put in DeAndre Swift because he's our most explosive running back. Because to me, where I put in this stupid tweet thread that you want to pull that I'm calling him bad, I said, here's my second to last thing. Ultimately, most of Swift's carries came under Anthony Lynn, who misused most of the entire offense. So he will get a pass for this year, but he will need to show major consistency improvements to prove to me that he is the premier back in our offense. He is still the premier back because Jamal Williams ain't more explosive than him. I think Craig Reynolds is good, but I don't think he doesn't have the same amount of juice. I think as a baseline runner, just as a pure running back, Craig Reynolds is better than DeAndre Swift. But Swift has way the fuck more upside.
Okay, let me take this one, Jim. Let me take this one really quick.
All right, Luke, I have to go here in a second.
Go ahead, yeah, man. Because we finna go too. Because I don't think he understands what he's doing. And he even just said in his own thing that he has to prove that he's a premier running back. But me and you are saying we think he is the premier running back.
So Luke, I know I've been on your channel before, and we've done some live streams, we've done some videos on my channel before, and you can say if I'm wrong or not, but I've had a very strong take. I've honestly had 2 pages of material of notes and stats and highlights that I've gone through, and then you've gone through them and changed my mind. You've given me and sometimes I feel you just need to know you got me. It's okay to say that sometimes. I feel you don't need to stick by your original.
Yeah, and if I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. I go all right, I'm wrong. You got me. It is what it is.
Luke, I promise you, you have especially when it comes to Lions, because on my channel I cover all 32 teams. When it comes to the Lions stuff, I'll come in. I feel I'm hot and ready. I'll come 100 miles per hour at you, and you'll say this, and I'm oh shit, I didn't think about it like that. and then it's okay, yeah, let's move on. And I think that's kind of what it is, because and Craig, I feel initially I feel you had a really, really, really good whether it was some analytical or something you saw when you were watching the games. I think it just kind of becomes more clear what the defined roles should be on this team. And whether you think someone's good or not, it really depends on how they're utilized or not. And when we look around the league and we look at what successful teams do and what successful teams have, it kind of becomes more obvious. I don't think it's you're dead wrong. I don't think Jamal Williams is a bad running back at all. I know we've been on this debate forever, and I know it's been really far into us, but I think it kind of becomes clear that if you're just debating and going back and you have to change certain things,
what am I changing though?
All right, I
just appreciate you, Jim.
I really don't
appreciate you, Jim. Listen, let's get into our final thoughts, William. To me, I think it's clear, William. But if you say it's not, I totally understand. What is your final thoughts for the people, man? We've been on for 2 hours and 38 minutes, and like I said, I was expecting this to be somewhere between an hour debate. But I hate to say, you really have been constantly changing the argument every time, and I kept pointing it out for a reason. Okay, you can feel like that, but there are people in here watching this, and I'm not even leaving this video up, but there are people in here who are watching this who see that you were changing that argument, and there were times, and again, I let you define what your disagreement with me was. I didn't make this up, and you defined it. And so I'm
the
just
first
telling
2
you,
times I told you, though, I told you what it was. I told you it was about touches. You're like, I feel like you're gaslighting the ever living shit out of me here, Luke. Like, I just
how am
want
I
you.
gaslighting you? I've never.
I'll explain.
I never added you at any point in
Wait,
time
I'm going to explain
about it. You challenged me.
I did it. I'm just going to explain it to you, Luke, because you're sitting here saying I challenged you to a debate when that is factually not true. I just wanted to say, hey, you said this about carries. Here's a perspective including touches. And then after multiple other people, mind you, there was maybe like 4 or 5 things I said. But then other people came in. You got flustered that there's like 7 people coming at you at once. And then you said, let's go live and debate. That's you challenging me to a debate. All I want to do is discuss it and say, hey, look, maybe we should include touches in this conversation, not just carries. I was not trying to say, hey, look, you're wrong about the carries, because it's empirical. You can't be wrong about the carries. The reason I feel like you're trying to gaslight me is, oh, I'm the one that makes, I'm the one that started it like I am. And honestly, I want to say this real quick. Dan Spanos, William is young. It's not in his nature to admit when he's wrong yet. I'm sorry if that's how you were when you were a kid, but that's not me. I work 70 hours a week in football. This is all I do. This is my profession. Like, I get very frustrated when you say, oh, well, I look at reality. Well, I don't think you understand this. When, bro, I get very frustrated with that because it makes it seem like, oh, you're just demeaning the shit out of me. You feel me? Like, it just feels like...
But William, I want you to understand something. I told you when we first started the stream, this is not personal. This is all fun. We're not taking it personal. And at any point in time that I do that, what I did was I made sure that every time that they switched it up, that you were switching up the topic, I made sure we brought it back to what the topic was. And then I would point out things and ask you very specific questions so I could understand what you were saying. I then played it back. You were trying to make it seem like after I made the point to you that you chose this debate. And I told you, I'll tell everybody, if you have a different perspective, great. Have your different perspective. I was cool with that. But after I told you in the Discord that, hey, I'm talking carries. You understood I was talking carries because that was the first thing you said to me. I heard your thing about the carries. So for me, and I even told you that, look, I don't really care. I'm just telling you, in my opinion, based on what I've seen, this should happen. You wanted to give a different perspective. That's not what you did.
That's exactly what I did. That's literally all I did.
That's not what you did. You challenged.
That was the... Bro,
right?
Okay. Maybe this is just a difference of opinion. When I say, hey, look, here's how the touches line up, and then you say, and then you interpret that as a challenge. I'm sorry, I don't.
No. I asked you if you remember, and I showed this on this video. Again, this video not going to be up, but I showed you in this video in the real time what it say, and I asked a question. I said, hey, I don't understand what you mean. So when you get time, explain it further. That's the point. What I don't want to happen is this. I want people to understand 2 things. 1, we still friends. We still cool. But 2, I want people to understand that anytime you come on this platform to debate, I'm going to debate you based on what the view is. If you disagree with me, cool. The whole thing started because I asked what you disagree with. You stated what you disagree with. I said, there a third thing? You said no. The point I'm trying to make to you is this. At some point, you have to call a spade. And all I'm saying to you is this. If you don't have an issue with me and my statement about carries, then this debate was waste.
That was, Luke, then you misinterpreted what the entire first point was that led to all this. Because I was offering a perspective and you thought I was challenging you. And then you asked for clarification. I gave you clarification. Mistyped and said touches. I meant touches. My bad. And then you went on after a little more talk and said debate me. Even though I'm talking about touches in the Discord the entire time.
But here's my question to you. if you're talking about touches, why at me and then say the following statement when that I'm talking about carries, and then you say I did a little bit. It's not the point. The point is give the people your final thought. I don't want you to take, like I said, it's not standing up. It was just for the purposes of showing you that look, I'm not saying something for the sake of saying it. I have a lot of different views. Some of them that people agree with, many of them people don't. I'm cool with that. But I will support my views with things that I think support it. Not only am I saying it in that way, I'm saying it in that way because a lot of the times my only gripe is when we're running the ball and this stuff it boils down to the simple fact of who is the starter. And for me, and for people like Jim, the starter de facto off rip should be Swift, and we're not getting that. We're getting Jamal Williams when we shouldn't, and there's nothing that supports him being the starter. He's not explosive. He's a complimentary back who should be a complimentary back. That's why he's a complimentary back there, and I'm starting to understand why he chose the Detroit Lions over going back to Green Bay, because here in Detroit he can start. He would not have started in Green Bay. Give the people your final thought.
I just want one question back at that. At any point did I say DeAndre Swift was not the de facto starter?
No, you did not say that.
Then why to me you just implied there that that's what I said, but whatever. So, all right. So, yeah, I guess my final thoughts is that touches matter way more than carries. The amount of times you touch the ball, like getting rid of carries, getting rid of receptions is just as bad as getting rid of big plays, because those are an aspect of a player's game. You can take them away for a momentary analysis. That's all fine and dandy, but you have to factor them into the entire picture in order to get a full picture of what's happening. Right? So it can only be used for momentary analysis for a broader picture, never remove stuff just for specific arguments, which is why I argue that we should talk about touches over carries.
All right. And to all the people who sat through this, man, thank y'all so much. To William who came on and indulged in this, thank you so much. And Jim who came in and added perspective, thank you so much. My final thoughts is simple, people. In this world, you have opportunities, and those who fail to seek opportunities and to grab it by its ears are those who are often left behind. People, please don't pass on your opportunity. Your opportunities are necessary. I know that some of y'all may have a little fear about making that next step, but guess what? The only thing that defeats fear is the willingness to allow fear to take control, right? In other words, you can be better than whatever it is that you're going to be. All you simply have to do is step forward and say, you know what? Here's a chance, and I'm taking it. Please take care of your opportunities and make sure that you're doing that. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, as always, don't be no chump. Please do your research. We are out.